homophobic men think that they're going to go into a place and all of a sudden every gay guy is going to hit on him. It's like, bro, do you go into a straight bar and think every chick wants to f you? No, just same as every guy doesn't want to either.
And then they get really bent out of shape. We're like, you're not even my type. And they're like, I'm not? And
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
wait a minute.
It's the word, yeah. That's why I love when you see some like beer gut guy from the middle of Ohio Valley and they're like, they're going to try and f me. Dude, no one wants to f you. Like, relax.
Yeah, chill out, man. You're not.
How does being an outspoken conservative gay guy affect your dating pool?
Well, I've been in a relationship for 15 years.
So you can't date anyone then.
No, but I get hit on a lot.
I'm assuming your other is a conservative as well.
He is.
If you were the liberal, that'd be a great TV show.
Him and I woke up together. We had realized that we'd always been pretty conservative, but there was a moment where we looked at each other and we're like, we were lied to. The Democrats have been telling us that we needed to vote this certain way because they were gonna, I guess, do something for us. Like, nothing ever got done.
Do you feel like that pushed you away from them as well? Like that forcing, like, this is how you have to believe if you don't?
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to the ManLab, where we combine science and health in the pursuit of making men great again.
This is how legends are born. This is how legends are born.
All right, guys, welcome back to the ManLab. Today we've got a very exciting guest. You've probably seen him on social media smacking his head against the phone. He is outspoken, he's very popular, and has a strong opinion, which we love to see sometimes. So please welcome, you know him probably as Conservative Ant, but his real name is Anthony Raimondi. I stuffed that up. It's more Italian, isn't it?
Raimondi. Well,
Raimondi.
Raimondi, yeah.
Raimondi.
I grew up with people saying Raimondi.
Well, I can say that. Raimondi.
Northeast.
Yeah.
Well, he says with that Australian
the
accent.
Raimondi.
I was going to ask where his accent was from.
Way far
He's an
away.
Aussie.
I actually came to America very similar time that you came to Florida in 2021. Same deal. You got, like, you know, as everyone's probably familiar with your story, you were super tired of I think the second lockdown was where you did the famous ant rant.
Yes.
And that's when you realized, fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah, I was like, why am I paying taxes in a place I can't even fucking enjoy?
Yeah.
So were you a conservative prior to beginning the whole COVID kind of lockdown bullshit that happened in Chicago? I mean,
So we voted for, my partner and I voted for Donald Trump every time.
good for you. So did I. I'm an old school Trump fan.
Yeah. I started to realize through this whole process that I was actually always pretty conservative. I grew up in an Italian family, Roman Catholic. So I feel like we were brought up with conservative values already and just didn't know it. But socially, I was always liberal, which I think
like,
most
in
people
your social network, I would assume being liberal was probably the predominant of your friends.
Yeah, I just wasn't crazy liberal.
Right.
Like,
Which is just weird how that became a thing, right? Like it was not like Democrats versus Republicans. It wasn't conservatives versus liberal. It was like the extreme liberals. It was like the far left all of a sudden became the new norm. And that was like culturally, if you weren't fucking psychopath with blue hair and wearing 3 masks and, you know, ready to rip down a statue,
Right.
you were a conservative.
well,
So,
yeah,
what?
I mean,
No.
I was part of that community. I mean, I used to work in that community. I used to have a lot of friends, big group of friends, and it was just never like that. And so now we don't even understand what they're talking about ourselves.
Because there's a big movement against there's a big gay movement against what the liberals are currently pushing on, isn't it?
Yeah, so there's an organization called Gays Against Groomers. I also contributed to that organization too. I did videos for her. She was just recently at the White House when Trump signed the banning of men and women's sports legislation. So yes, they're just scared to say that they're against it because they don't want to be canceled. They don't want to not be invited to the parties. They don't want to lose their group of friends. They don't want to lose their job at the bar. I get it. I don't give a shit.
It's not very accepting, is it, as a mentality of we're the loving group, but
they're
we're the
opposite.
loving group, but as long as you are as crazy as we are.
Well, were you in favor of or opposed to adding the TQ plus to the LBG portion? Like half of it's about your like who you're attracted to, and then the other half is just that you're like have a mental disorder to a point.
Yes.
Like, and
It's like
if that's
sexuality
not fair,
and
because
genitalia.
from what I understand from the outside looking in, if I was on just the LBG part.
After T,
I would
I'm
say,
lost.
why the fuck did all of a sudden, these people who wanted to become like cat people get associated within our group, right? Like
you know what? I actually hate the entire acronym altogether.
the whole alphabet.
Yeah,
situation.
because I think that it doesn't really matter. Like, nobody gives a shit.
Right.
And what any of us do on our own time shouldn't be put into a box.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're all adults, so I know that as you grow as an adult, there might be some shit you might try out, but it doesn't mean you have to be part of an acronym.
Right.
It's
Or
just,
indoctrinating children
or
into it.
that's
which
the
was
big.
just-
That was the biggest thing for me. Was I was like, wait a minute, why are there kids at drag shows? And then I was like, wait, there's books in schools? And I was like, I listen, I can't even sit in the same room as my own parents as a grown man and watch like a sexual scene without getting uncomfortable. I can't imagine why an adult would want to talk to a child about that.
Right.
Do you think it's more because it's like these are like a lot of, we've always been aware of the parent who wants to be congratulated on how good they are as a parent through sports or the other stuff, that it feels like this is like the next reiteration of that,
Like you're a cool
which is
parent.
even more insane because it's like,
That's a good point.
it's a lot easier to manipulate a kid into believing they are of a certain sexuality in that developmental phase. It's a lot easier to manipulate their thought processes than to get them to kick a soccer ball better.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think that some parents are trying to do the cool parent thing, or they are trying to make it seem like they're inclusive, and that's where like your allies come in.
Yeah.
Even with like within the Black community, you have a lot of people that support like this BLM movement. Listen, it's fine. You can have whatever movement you want, but if you don't know what those people are going through, sit this one out. And they make it
Don't put the
worse.
don't put the black square on your Instagram handle.
Yeah,
You don't know that.
it's always like rich white girls, and the rich white girls that are like at the rallies or whatever with their little signs, but like they don't know what the Black community is going through, as people don't know what the gay community might be going through, and they should. When people are like, "Oh, I have a gay friend. Oh my god, I love you. You're gay," and I'm like, "Don't do that. Please don't do
Just
that."
looking for me, not because I'm gay. Like,
Yeah,
like-
like-
Yeah.
You're right. The token gay. Yeah.
Well, if you look at like in Hollywood, right? Like all these theoretically like cool celebrities, whether they be Megan Fox or half these other fucking nutcases, they all have like tranny kids, or they are all like pushing their kids into being gay or whatever. And it's like, I don't watch it, but my wife watches this like Real Housewives of whatever city it is. Half these women's kids are either going to become trans kids or they're making them gay. And I feel like it's just so they stay relevant on these shows, or they're getting some kind of points on the cool card. Yeah. And it's like, fuck, man, like as we're all embracing more of this, thank God this world is turning back into a conservative mentality. Now they're finally like, well, these are the fucking weirdos. Like finally they're not the cool ones. They're becoming the, what are you doing to your child? And like, I know for me and I'm sure for you, this past couple months has been a breath of fresh air to know that we're finally going to get this world back on track, regardless of what your sexual orientation is. It's not about that. It's about like getting to be fostering like good values on our future kids. And if they grow up to be gay, good for them. If they grow up to be lesbian, good for them. Right. They grow up to be good people, and they shouldn't have these weirdo parents that are pushing them into some kind of weird thing for their own personal, I am on the cool card parent. It's not about the child's wish to become this. I mean, we don't. This whole conversation is going to be about
just
like
quickly back
LBGC,
to the
but
back
it's
to
not
the
like,
Megan
like
Fox
and these
thing,
kids
though.
at this like 5 years old and 4 years old be telling their parents like, I want to go through be trans. I've seen these things on Instagram where this lady's like, when did you know? She's like, oh, when she was 1.5. Like,
There's no way.
I didn't know. Like when I was a kid, I'm sure I was playing with dolls both.
Yeah.
I'm sure my wife was playing with He-Man as long as she wanted to be.
Still do.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so he still has it. Wanted to be a boy.
Love that for you.
You're a product of your also like your peers are and your friends are. If you have a cool older brother and you're a girl, I'm sure you're like, oh, I want to play with He-Man. And I'm sure if you're a boy and you grow up in a household with a cool girl, you're probably like, yeah, Barbie's cool for the moment when you're 5 years old. But then, like, are you really ready to give these kids puberty blockers and all this other shit? And I don't know.
We do have to be careful though, like, because back to the Megan Fox thing. Megan Fox, I heard this through another comedian who DM'd her after she followed him and they were conversing. And she said that her kids don't identify as trans. It was a meme that went around. They dress as rock stars. They wanted to dress like how MGK does. And I think that, look, there's a bunch of crazy parents for sure. Megan Fox is crazy for sure. But there also is this.
I don't know if I'm
other
okay with my
thing.
kid dressing like MGK either, though.
Yeah, but I mean, like, more to the point of like, I think that the movement is so strong both ways that it's tricky for even us who are like, hey, let's just stop indoctrinating children. That I think some parents who are not are getting lumped into that just because their kids don't dress
Could be.
masculine. That we go, oh, look at this photo. Here's the story we're going to write
Sure.
with that photo. But yeah, I only found that out like 2 weeks ago, and I was just like, fuck.
Yeah, or maybe that's the way for her to crawl back some of her PR, right? Because she's starting to lose
Some
a
hate.
little bit.
Trump wasn't elected yet, so I don't think it was cool yet.
Yeah, but when they turn off their comments in their Instagram section because it's nothing
That
but
part, yeah.
people jumping out and giving you shit, you probably recognize that maybe we should call this back a little bit.
Yeah.
Find out if you may have low testosterone for free with the Adam test. Now, sometimes it's a little bit nerve-wracking to go into a clinic to get a full blood panel to find out your hormone levels. And sometimes you might just want to sort of kick the tires just a little bit. If you are that person, the Adam test is for you. All it is a couple of questions that are completely non-intrusive, non-invasive, that will help give an indication to you whether you may or may not have low testosterone. And the best part is the Adam test is accurate up to 88% of the time. So for something as simple as a questionnaire, that is a very high number. Now, if you want to make use of that, you can do it online right now. It takes less than 30 seconds to fill out, and it is at bit.ly/free Adam test. That's free ADAM test. Now, if you don't want to remember that, the link is in the description of wherever you're listening or watching this podcast. And then after you've filled out the questionnaire, you will now have a better idea of whether you may or may not have low testosterone and if you need to take the next step, which is a detailed blood panel with a clinic such as T Clinics USA. So again, to make use of that, go to bit.ly/free Adam test, and let's continue to making men great again. Let's get back to the show.
I mean, how many celebrities, in hindsight of voting for Kamala or supporting Kamala, probably think, damn, I probably lost him. I was talking to my wife about like Eminem. I used to like Eminem.
Yeah. God, I know that's such a
And now I
shame.
can't stand him because he's such a dipshit. Like, it's like, God, did you have to come out and be such a Trump hater?
I know.
Did you have to come out and support her to that level? You know,
I think he got banged, though.
half these other, well, they all get paid like $1.5 million
We're
to
finding that out
support her.
through our money.
I'd probably endorse
through this
Kamala with the
Doge. I mean,
1.5 million.
It's wild.
Just saying.
Yeah.
I got bills
I
to
mean,
pay.
Cheryl Crow just made a great, I mean, what a statement, right? She got rid of her Tesla the other day just because.
yeah, thank God she did
I
that.
don't know. Like, you already bought the bitch.
She bought a
Like,
Volkswagen. She bought a Volkswagen, right? And they were talking about
yeah.
she was
Oh,
like,
that's
here's
right.
Here's your German Nazi car.
Yeah. I don't want to
Yeah.
support a Nazi, so I'll support a Nazi, literally a Nazi company.
Right.
But
Was that Sheryl Crow or Alyssa Milano? It was one of those.
Alyssa
Oh,
Milano.
she blocked me a long time ago.
She blocked you?
Alyssa Milano blocked me a long
What
time
over?
That's an
ago.
accomplishment.
Well, I used to call her out.
Yes, I made it.
I used to like literally call for her. I was like, Alyssa, like in my videos, and this is going back a few years because she always talked about women and like protecting women and stuff. And then when like a movie like Cuties, remember that on
Oh,
Netflix
yeah.
where they were exposing
So much
little
protection.
13, 14-year-old girls like sexually.
Ugh.
I literally did a video and it was like every day just asking where Alyssa was. And finally she blocked me. And I was like, oh,
No, there you are.
that worked. She heard it.
She's
She
listening.
heard it. She saw it.
I'm curious about like, so because you've posted like 5-7 videos a day. Does that get exhausting? Because like for me, politics is interesting, but I'm like, man,
There's just so much good ammunition out there right now, isn't there? Though.
It really,
Yeah.
I mean, either way, I think even if Trump, which thank God he's our president, but even if he wasn't, I think we would have still had content and things to talk about because politics in general are so polarizing right now.
Ugh,
and
it's such a great show to watch.
oh my goodness, it's
best
like
reality
the greatest
TV show ever.
Dude, whoever's writing it, like Trump dodging a bullet, if you told me that and I didn't have video evidence, I'd be like, all right, bro, this is some like
Yeah,
MAGA
But if you go back to like
QAnon
COVID
story.
beginning, like COVID day one, and since then, like this movie would have been something that nobody would ever
Whoever's
believe.
writing
Well,
the
imagine
script's
being
no
in a
job.
coma for 10 years and then you wake up.
to read this
And
story.
someone's
What? well, let's catch
Okay,
up.
I have to fill you in. You're like, there's no fucking way all that happened. You're like, no, it happened. And now we have pronouns. They're like, what is that?
I forgot that in school.
Oh man, it's so
out of
wild
nowhere.
when you look back through like the history of how we got from where we were to where we are.
I know.
And then, which when's the question? Like, when did you become really outspoken? I know social media became more of a thing during COVID. Like, were you prior to like Like, give us a little bit of the evolution of the character.
Version. So I actually went to broadcasting school somewhere in my 30s, like mid 30s. Well, it was like 2015 when Trump was already president, 2016. And they found out that I was conservative, and they made my life a living hell. And they told me that I would never make it in podcasting, radio, TV.
You couldn't just use the gay card?
I tried that. Well, I was even more of a disgrace because I was a gay conservative. I was voting against my own interests.
From
whatever
Chicago.
the fuck that's supposed to mean. So I mean, they kept throwing me in sports broadcasting because they thought that I would fail, and I killed it because all I had to do was Google what the score was the night before and pass the puck every time somebody. I was like, so the score was blah blah blah. What do you think?
Might as well put you in weather.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It may rain today.
And then COVID hit, and people kept sending me TikToks. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I thought it was a kids app. And so during COVID, everybody was on TikTok. So I went on TikTok, and then I started to find like my conservative. There were conservative influencers or people posting conservative content. One day, I saw the BLM riots going on, and then we were locked down again, and then I had seen Nancy Pelosi getting her hair cut while we couldn't go to funerals and all this shit. And I got so pissed, and I was literally sitting at my kitchen table, and I set up my camera, and I slammed my hands on the table, and I'm like, you mean to fucking tell me that I can't go do X, Y, and Z, but this shit's going on? I woke up the next day, and literally that video was viral, because it wasn't even political. It hit everyone.
It was what a lot of people were thinking.
Frustration.
So that was like your
ant
born
rant.
moment. That was it for you?
Yep. And then
Just
I
takes
was
one
just
rant, huh?
ant rant. Yeah, it was just, and then I started paying attention to what people liked, and like things like me hitting the bottom of my glass, like that happened on accident one day, but then I noticed that people liked it, so I continued to do it. But it's me. Like, if you're with me in person, I mean, like if someone's wearing a mask, I act like they're the problem in a sense of like,
even still,
I'm like, you must be sick. Don't come near me. You know, like I call people out in person too,
Because they did the same to us behind, right? Like
yeah, I'm
prior to-
like,
yeah.
is everything okay? Like, are you good? Is everything good? And you know, people that are with me that are non-confrontational are like,
It is fun being confrontation, though.
I don't
Sassy.
want to be.
I get sassy.
It's the sass.
It's
I
a
have
little bit.
sass.
There are
sass.
certain places that through the course of this, I was so like I would just wanted to be you, or at least have that. I mean, I remember just being on airplanes, you know, just wanting to. But I was like, I don't want to go on the no-fly list.
The
Like,
airplane one was hard because
don't wear
when
that
you're
shit.
traveling and you're doing stuff for like people are hiring you to go do things
Yeah.
like speak at events or gubernatorial races.
You got to be there.
You have to be there. So I would just slowly eat peanuts the entire time and
just-
have my mask down here. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, even during COVID when you weren't allowed to go on places with masks, I think it was the confidence. So if you walk in, no point,
Whole
like with
Foods.
your dick swinging, pretty much, they were like, I'm not even going to talk to this guy because he's going to give me problems. So I just walked into places. I'm like, nope, we're good, thank you. And I would grab my cart and
Yeah,
continue
my wife
walking.
was the same. Like she refused to wear a mask. Like to a point where like we lived in Fort Myers at the time.
Yeah.
And it was hard to find a place that was hardcore enforcing it. But I remember Whole Foods, they made a statement that said like you don't have to wear it. And although it said it's recommended, she would deliberately like we would go to lunch. She's like, I'm gonna walk around until somebody says something to me. I'm like, oh, here we go. You know?
That's me in the
Yeah, and she's
relationship.
just like,
Yeah.
I hope somebody says something, and I'm like, babe, come on, like, let's just get our lunch. And I would never wear it, granted, but I would try to get out of there.
Yeah.
But it was just so retarded that like these people actually believed that you were not just
Immune.
like you were not just like hurting potentially yourself because you weren't wearing a mask to protect you from them.
You were a grandma
That
killer.
if they were wearing their mask, that you were somehow harming them. It's like,
Right.
bro, you're wearing that mask to protect you from me. In the event I was sick,
Right.
Doesn't that mask
For me, COVID
save you?
highlighted though, like you know,
Stupidity of
everyone hears
people.
about World War II, and they're like, I would never do what the Germans did and just let it go and sit by what Hitler did.
Oh, they did.
And I go, like, COVID
People
showed
did
to
it.
me, there's a lot of people who would happily, like, because not only are there people that would happily just be like, do you know what, do your thing, dude.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people today that would still be like, do you know what, I'm going to help. If it makes me the better person.
You know
in
what's
my mind,
wild
I'll do
about
it.
COVID, and we can like some of the cultures and people that you assumed would be the most most rebellious, most anti-lawful people were the ones that were conforming and wearing the masks and getting the shots. And I'm like, what happened to you being these like hardcore fuck the government.
I know.
I'm
And
going to
they-
break the law. People where you, and then now you put your mask on in the grocery store and you're still wearing it. Like what?
But wait, they still are
Yeah.
and even worse, like in the worst way possible. We have somebody right now that it is exposing the wasted money that the government, literal politicians on both sides of the aisle. This isn't a political thing. They're exposing if a Republican did or a Democrat
Both sides
did it,
deserve the same level of scrutiny.
100%. And you have people, I just saw today, dragging dead Elon Musk like dummies through Capitol Hill. And I'm thinking to myself, you're mad at this guy for trying to save you money? When did you love the government fucking you?
Well,
But when was he elected? We didn't
elect Hunter Biden either, and apparently he was meeting with all kinds
Well,
of
have
people.
you heard the saying?
It's
such a
insane. I
stupid
know, it's
argument.
such a stupid argument.
Have you heard the saying though? It's easier to fool a man than convince him he was fooled. That's kind of what a lot of people are going through right now. And like, look, I get it. There's people who are like my own family. They were like, "You need to take the shot. You need this. You need that." And I was like,
In Australia, it's horrible with that.
We moved here.
You guys had concentration camps for that. That's what I heard.
That was
They're putting y'all in camps.
no. They weren't putting us in camps.
concerned.
No, that was
real-
New Zealand, wasn't it? They were.
New Zealand was not. Look, Australia was nuts, but it was just like there was a lot of nuts
'Cause they didn't
stuff,
have
but it
guns.
wasn't concentration camps. Like there was a lot of verbiage used that was hyperbolic, but there was still like insanity. Like we lived in Australia up until June 2021, and we know a lot of people in America, and they're like, Florida and West Virginia, and they're like, bro, this ain't a problem. And I could see like, we're animals of contrast. So if Florida goes from 10,000 cases a day to 15,000, that's fine. Who gives a shit? But if you go from 3 cases a day for a couple of months to 25, it's fucking terrifying. And I saw that happening with Australia because like we were getting down to zero cases, not even deaths, cases. And
So they say.
we have an unfair advantage where we're an island.
They had a high amount of flu, but no COVID.
Yeah.
We had no flu and a lot of
Flu did not
COVID.
exist. Yeah, you
But
can
that
call
was
it
what I realized. I was like,
animal
we're
of a
fucked.
different
Because
name.
as soon as we have a tiny uptick, we're shutting
lock down again.
So we flew here 3 weeks before those insane lockdowns that got reported. And my sister and my family was locked down for 4 months. So, but again, those people, they're now coming out and they're like, now that they're having it, like my sister's having a kid, she's like, I don't know if I want to.
See, we were
anymore.
so,
And
we
I was
were
like-
so lucky down here because like we were in the medical space, so like our offices were allowed to stay open. We had friends that were like in different medical businesses that had gym facilities. So like I never stopped going to the gym. I never stopped going to
Right.
work. Again, we didn't enforce the masks at our locations. We told people if you want to wear them, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. I think there's like 2 weeks where I felt like, all right, there ain't shit to do around here. But after that, we really never skipped a beat,
Well,
at least in Fort Myers, in the county area.
Coral Springs and that was
And
a
our
little
offices on the
crazy,
East
yeah.
Coast were hardcore
Oh,
shut
yeah.
down.
They're
a little bit more
different.
Broward
Yeah.
County.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're blue.
Yeah, because Miami wore
they're-
masks for
I
a lot
lived in
longer, didn't they?
Broward.
Yeah, and I get it now that I live in Miami. Like a higher concentration of people in a condensed area has a little bit more to think through than.
So you're there now?
Yeah, I live in Miami now, but a little more suburbia, kind of spread outness. That
He likes
this place-
Harris a little bit more now.
No,
I was just in
we
Miami.
went red. We went
was
red.
tempting to
Miami-
vote for her.
Miami-Dade went red, guys.
I know, but I wore my Make America Great
Oh,
Again
I-
hat everywhere. I was in Miami.
People never-
We went to South Beach. Nobody said anything to me. I got
Absolutely.
high fives actually.
Absolutely.
I always do. I've always worn it. I don't care where I'm at.
That would so in Chicago, when you were at the breaking point, were you at a point where you couldn't wear? I mean, I don't know. The MAGA hat thing was even a thing at the time. I mean, was it? It was.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, yeah.
We were
Yeah.
wearing them. Yeah, because we had Trump 2020.
I remember. God, you wore a red hat back then. You were like looking for it.
So I was in the
Yeah.
suburbs though. I grew up just outside of Chicago, about 45 minutes. So really, where I was at was mostly red.
Right.
I mean, it's
So
all
you were-
it's all gun owners.
Yeah.
It's pro 2A. It's a lot of farms.
Yeah.
And you're not far from Chicago. You're 44 to 45 an hour, max. So when you look at population density and the way these places vote, like New York, I mean, you go to upstate New York, it's pretty much all
yeah.
conservatives. You go outside the city, it's all conservatives. Same thing with Chicago.
That's why they live there.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Well, it's inner city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
but
it's your
what-
inner city.
Why does concentration of humans make people lean certain political inclination? It's very weird.
If I had the answer, I don't know, because every time elections come around, we are like they just start counting and they already call the state of Illinois with like 3% in, and I'm like,
I don't understand that myself.
How's
either.
I'm sorry, can you explain it to me like I'm 5? Because 3% to me means you don't know what everybody else voted, but yet we're
gonna
calling
call
it
it.
for Kamala Harris. Got it. And that happens in New York too, you know. And then you look at California;
LA.
they call that quick.
California had a big shift though this year.
They did. A
Or
lot
last
of
year.
counties turned red.
Yeah, like you take out the big metropolis
It
areas.
is funny, like you said, because I was watching the elections as they're going through, and they're calling states, and I'm like, bro, there's literally 42% is counted out. The House is majority, and they just make assumptions based on history.
I don't. I
and it's
think,
based on like what the TV channels are calling at the time.
Yeah.
Where the fuck are
Oh yeah,
they?
you go from Fox to CNN.
well, they had
and
full
there's
meltdowns
massive
this time around
spreads.
again. I mean, they were
Really?
like, well, they had to admit that they were going to
were
lose.
duped, yeah.
I mean, the second Pennsylvania was called this time. I mean, I was in tears. I'm like, because a friend of mine, Scott Pressler, busted his ass for, getting people registered to vote. Pennsylvania was a big one. And then once I saw that flip, I'm like, no way, this is history. Like, holy shit, to live through this.
There was definitely a sigh of relief for me personally. Like, I mean, I listened to Elon Musk's episode on Rogan the day of the election. I'm like, gee, this is getting me down.
Yeah.
And then when I found out that that Trump won, it was weird. It was like, especially after listening to that podcast, I was like, phew. It was like, it wasn't excitement for me. I was just like, I think this is the less crazy of the two, at least for now.
You know, it's
like-
crazy, guys. Like after all this is said and done, we're not even 1 month into this, and to see how much momentum has really begun. I mean, if you're listening to this show, today's the 17th of February, so we're not even a full month yet, having been through the transition. And I think the thing I'm most excited about, and granted, yes, it's the government spending part, but it is this. Kind of RFK jumping on board and trying to clean up and fix America. And as you're wearing your shirts, and what our business represents is making America healthy again. The idea that the left doesn't support the concept of trying to make people healthy in their own country, that to me was the holy shit moment, that it doesn't have anything to do with what the party stands for. It's just who the party stands behind that they support. Because and almost to a point, it's sad on our part, if RFK had become, a Democrat and Kamala had won, we would all have been like, well, fuck him. He's not.
Probably.
We would all think that he's doing the wrong thing. And that sucks that we're actually so divided as a country that we can't even get behind something that makes such
Common goals for
good
everyone.
common sense, that we want to protect children's interests, not cut off their genitals, not give them puberty blockers, support medicine that's very pro-health. Like, I don't give a fuck what side you're on, at the end of the day. How do you not want to make the people in the future and the children of this country healthy?
You noticed that
to me
in
is wild.
I noticed that in the 2020 elections from Australia. Like, I actually agreed. I was like, liberals were saying, we should not take Trump's vaccine because, Operation Warp Speed. And I was like, this doesn't make any logical sense. It's sped up. It should take a bunch of years, blah, blah. And I was pro, all that stuff in 2020 because I was like, this one feels rushed and I don't want Trump's vaccine because that's what it was called. When I started realizing this is all just BS was when the guards swapped. And again, family members who were like, he's trying to get the vaccine out in time. Like, they were defending him. And they were hating the Biden administration who were running for saying that this is disgusting. Then when it swapped, the same people were like, it's not proven, it's not tested. And I'm like, what? And I kept with I don't want the Trump vaccine. And then people who were anti the Trump vaccine, now that Biden was pushing it, were like, no, you've got to take it.
So were you anti-Trump?
I wasn't anti-Trump. I thought he was hilarious. But I was also just like, from Australia, I just heard too much of the negative. But I also was just
Because he's
I
only
don't
hearing mainstream
care.
media probably down there, And
No, Australia's pretty left. But also, I'm also of the mindset of, can we at least admit some of the shit he says is funny? Some of it's wild, and it's very funny.
That's what I like
hilarious.
about him.
Yeah.
You don't give a
But
fuck.
in 2020, a lot of people
I
were
love
already
it.
saying that I was pretty conservative, and I was just like, I don't think so, because I still believe the same shit that I believed 4 years ago. That when you said
But
you
at
would
least you
classify me as
realize
liberal.
you're conservative and you didn't know it.
No, there's a lot of liberal shit that I liked. I was very anti-Republican as a kid. But anyway, not about me, about you. So, this is your show.
What I was getting at the American Health Again thing is you went down a health journey too.
Yeah.
Like, was it around that same time on like coming down here and how much did politics play a role into like starting to pay attention to food and, you know, because think about it, like the left doesn't support, for example, raw milk, right? And some of these ideas that, you know, we can kind of further our own health with like what's out there, peptides, things like this that we promote. And all of a sudden, like that became political. So, what happened in your kind of,
So
health
I got
journey, if you will?
some basic blood work done actually, and it didn't look good. I mean, I was about 255 pounds, and so now I'm down to between 170 and 175. But I was like, okay, I need to make a change. And one of the things that helped me was I had realized when we went to Italy, you know, how different the food tasted, and the fact that they were eating more than we were eating,
And not getting fat and
not
feel sick.
gaining weight. And I was like, but it was because of what was in their food or the lack
lack
thereof. Yeah. But yeah, no, so I took this health journey, and then I started really like looking into everything and what to take and what not to take. And I stuck to it, and intermittent fasting's been great. And then with RFK, I was like, oh my God, he wants to do what I was just talking about, where he wants to tell everybody what's in the foods and get rid of all the dyes and the toxins and the plastics and so that made me even more excited. It's hard to lose weight. It's
Here.
hard to sustain it here.
Very
you know?
difficult here. I think that's one thing that's unfortunately about this country. We're arguably the most advanced and, you know, first world country in the world with the most money and most opportunity. Yet we have some of the most sick population. We have some of the worst quality foods. I mean, people always think about, I have a dream to eventually retire and move to Thailand and go to Southeast Asia.
Lady boys.
And people are like, yeah, not for that reason, right? Not for that reason.
They're the OG trans, man.
They are the only
Honestly, they are the ones on.
But they're not trying to fool anybody. They're happy to admit they are.
So
yeah.
that's the thing. Thailand. Sorry.
Hey,
sorry.
let's not get back on that. Let's steer the ship over here, guys. But it's sad that we have this country with such an advanced, so much money, such a high GDP, and yet our food quality is such trash. I mean, to a point where like even our organic food sucks. Like, you know, it has some kind of stipulation, red tape around it, and the kind of crossover between big pharma and big food, and it's just disgusting how like our population is treated as guinea pigs and ultimately patients and clients of this system. I don't know, man. Like it's very COVID to me, although I became a lot more available to the internet and started kind of really researching on Instagram and understanding like what was out there. I think COVID was an eye opener, not just about the exposure of the vaccine and its initiatives and politics as a whole, but I think all of us started paying attention way more to foods and other things that really started to become attacking on our systems because we were being told, wait a second, this vaccine is a mandatory. Well, if you're pushing that on me, what else is in the rest of this shit, you know? Right. And that's what was the biggest eye opener for, I think, my embracement of like health and really trying to save myself and figure out I can't trust FDA to a point to tell me how to stay healthy. And I think for your situation to lose 70 or 80 pounds is you know, life changing. But
It's very different to the video I watched earlier. You've changed in a couple of years.
Did you watch an old video?
Yeah, it was one of the videos back. I think it's the first video you did on your YouTube. And that was a belly to you.
Oh,
that
yeah,
belly's gone, baby.
I was probably out to here.
Yeah. Like barely recognize you.
I know. Well, look, I had very low testosterone too. Like I was, you know, and I think it attributes to everything that's in our foods.
For sure.
Thus
our name, Making Men Great Again, it's about the idea that men unfortunately aren't hormonally where they should have been, you know, 20, 30 years ago. I mean, look at our historical decline of hormone levels. It's mind-boggling and scary.
It is.
Fertility levels.
Tired, you know.
Yeah,
What have you noticed in the shift since you've lost? Is it 100 pounds or 90 or?
Probably 80. I mean, 255 to I'm not.
That's a good
Let's math, guys.
80 pounds.
173. Yeah.
80 around about.
175. When I wake up in the morning, I'm up. Like I'm awake. I'm ready to go. I'm not groggy. I sleep better at night. I don't wheeze. I used to wheeze a lot. I used to be like, if this
Stairs where you're
It's
at
like
me.
Fatty McGee. You remember,
if this interview happened a year and a half ago, and I
You
was
guys would
sitting
need
here,
two sofas.
we would have.
This would have been-
I would have been
You'd
here
have to-
sweating my ass off.
You'd have to dank Demoss
That's
it.
another thing. Being in Florida, you have to be aware of this weight. You know, like
Yeah. I mean, my parents were just here and they were laughing because we went to Miami and stuff and we're walking on South Beach and I was like, boom, boom, like just walk, whatever, just walking. And my dad's like, you used to chafe and you used to be miserable, a year and a half ago. And I was like, yeah, because I was hot and bothered and chafing was a huge thing because I had thick thighs. Not in a good way, guys. But it changes everything. Your libido's better. I mean, your
confidence.
I was just gonna say your confidence is better. So, and it just gets better and better from there.
Besides testosterone, what else have you done to help you get to where you are?
So, the intermittent fasting was a huge part.
What about the GLP-1?
Yeah. So when I first started, I did take it, and I took it for 3 months.
Semaglutide.
Yes.
Okay.
But in conjunction with changing my diet and what I was putting into my body. So I didn't just
You did it
take
the right
it
way.
Right,
and
fuck-
just
Yeah. Just take a shot and not eat.
no. I did the intermittent fasting, changed what I ate, took that, and then I got off that. I was on TRT as well, and I just started to notice a difference. And then once I got used to the intermittent fasting part, then it was kind of easy because then I wasn't always thinking about where food was coming from. Like I used to live my life for food and I would be like, okay, where are we going? And people would be like, oh, we're going to this one.
Let me get the menu before I go.
Yeah, is there food there? Like, what are we doing for food? But now I'm just like, I'm sure we'll find something. Like, it's fine. It's not big. I'm like, we'll find something or you'll prepare something before you leave, whatever. But yeah, your whole mindset changes.
Yeah.
And I just want to get better and better. Like now I want to just lean out, so it's like a lot of gym stuff, but I think a big part was the food.
What's the saying they say? Like nothing tastes as good as looking good or something.
Yes, thin feels.
Yeah, I mean, like when you feel like you look good, I don't give a shit how good of a food choice it is. Like if it's going to throw you off, you make a very conscious decision that piece of pizza or that piece of dessert is not worth looking bad or feeling like you look bad. And being kind of diet beach ready it's just your birthday and you're just out in Miami, like you don't want to have to like go down there and feel like embarrassed and not ready to enjoy. And I'm sure you don't feel like you look your absolute best. Nobody ever does.
Yeah,
None of us do.
there's still definitely improvements that I'm gonna work on. But I never used to take my shirt off before. And now I was on the beach and I had my shirt on. I wear shorter shorts now.
You
Like, I wear the
it
shorter
happens.
ones.
And in Australia,
But you have
these are still
700,000
straight. Like straight guys still wear shorts this short.
Yeah.
In America, everyone.
That's right. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, everyone in America just goes, really, bro? I'm like, I have a wife and 2 kids.
Everyone wears these shorts now.
Really?
Yeah.
He doesn't? Oh, wait, yes, you do. You have pineapple
I
ones.
got short shorts. Come
Hey,
on
can
now.
you clarify something on the side?
Pineapple,
Hold on. Is
it
the
is Southwest
pineapple is the it's the thing, isn't it?
Well, no, there's.
I need to tell one of my
upside
friends.
Down's
'cause
like swingers, though, right?
I think pineapples in general in South Florida, you should probably watch out for.
he has pineapple pears.
I have a pineapple.
Is it-
I bought them in Thailand. Full disclosure.
Thailand, see? It was a lady boy. The lady boy got him to buy a
My
pair.
wife has a matching set, so if that makes me
Okay,
any
well,
less.
Yeah, so
might
you guys
get-
are swingers then.
But we don't wear them upside down.
Don't go to the
Yeah,
villages.
don't do a handstand.
Do not go to the
That was like a
villages.
loofah. It wasn't a
They
pineapple.
do have the-
that's for the communities here in Florida. What's
Yeah.
that one
How do you
Or is
know
it
so much of
The
this shit?
villages.
Yeah, the villages. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just busting your balls.
Listen, I need to know. These
Yeah.
are things I need to know. I'm not part of the
I'll give you the
community.
list.
Please, the not to dos.
Yeah. So let me ask you, how
I
long?
go to a gym with a lot of gay dudes in them, and every one of these
He
guys
does.
is
He's
super
probably,
great
you guys
shit.
are like meat in a gay gym.
Well, I have been
If you're in
gifted.
Miami, it's all
Unfortunately, like
I have
am
been gifted
probably
underwear to a gay
one of the
guy-
worst
gay guy
shaped
once.
guys in this gym. Like,
Yeah, I can see that.
Aussie bum. Anyway.
Gym I go to, every gay guy in there is like in super good shape, and I'm like, you think like I thought, well, fuck, I'm gonna go there. No, nobody gives a shit about me.
You can't compete
They're
with
looking at each other.
Nah,
I'm
when it
like,
comes to
what? Fuck,
fitness-
man, I don't look good enough.
When it comes to fitness,
what?
fitness, you can never compete with the gay guy.
No,
Gay
they're-
guys always beat you when it comes to fitness. Is it a genetic thing? Sorry. Quickly, before we get back to the episode, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't on whatever channel you're watching or listening to the ManLab. And if you're listening on Spotify, if you could leave a 5-star review on the channel page, that would be greatly appreciated because that will help continue to push push it a little bit further for whoever is looking for information to help improve their health. Now, on the topic of information, if you are on YouTube, you can leave a comment below on this episode and we will respond to it with as much information as possible, or it might be another episode down the road. The reason this is important is because the more questions you guys ask, the more we know what we need to do to serve you guys better in future episodes. So comment on YouTube, leave a 5-star review, hit subscribe, and let's continue to help making men great again. Let's get back to the show.
I have a question. So, like, when you started your weight loss journey, did you start TRT? Was that kind of the thing that spurred you into that? Or did you start trying to lose weight for, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, you know, I always tell a lot of times guys will try to get on a weight loss plan or a program, and it's like they don't see much return on investment, usually when your hormones are low. And so when you couple it or you actually get on TRT, you see a lot more happen in a shorter period of time. So is that, it was kind of in conjunction with that then? Okay.
Yeah, I started that immediately. Okay. So like I literally started everything at the same time. I didn't tell anybody because, I mean, if I go back, I've never been a fat person. It's just, it happened like within my 20, like mid 20s to 30. But, you know, every time you go on a weight loss thing on January 1, you're like, oh, yeah, day 1 in the gym, you know, and then by, you know, day 20, you're like, where's them Jimbos, girl? But, yeah, no, I didn't do anything. I didn't tell anybody. And then I think it was like month 3, somebody commented on a video and they were like, did you lose some weight? And I was like, maybe. And now, and then it just started
reinforcing
then
it.
family started to notice, and they're like, "Have you been doing something?" And I'm like, "Yeah, actually, I have."
Sick?
Yeah, are you okay? You're sick.
They're
Yeah.
all right.
Like, yeah, no, actually, of course, my immediate family knew. But yeah, then I started seeing it, and I started feeling good. I was at like 200. My testosterone was like 200
Okay. Yeah.
when I first started. So you know,
pretty
now
low.
it's definitely normal. It's at
Have you tried
normal.
peptides? Any of the growth hormone peptides yet?
No, not yet.
All right, so we got a lot up our sleeves to work with you and take you to that next level.
Well, that was my next thing after this. I was gonna be like, all right, you gotta give me the list of
Because
things.
you know,
that
in this journey,
Yeah.
you know, like the way we look at it is if you have to address the biggest thing that inhibits your ability to kind of feel your best, whether it be the weight loss process first, the hormone therapy, testosterone specifically. Those two foundational things should be addressed first and foremost, because you either need to lose weight in order to give yourself the ability to like work out and feel good about yourself, or for those guys who have really shitty testosterone levels, fix that, because otherwise nothing else will work.
Yeah.
And in your case, it was a combination of both. You would have had a really hard time losing weight had your testosterone continue to be low. And if you only addressed the testosterone therapy, you probably wouldn't have lost weight had you not started the dieting process. Yeah. So I always recommend men specifically get on a diet plan, get on an exercise regimen you can adhere to, and get your testosterone levels checked absolutely, because that's the anchor in the boat that can't drive fast without it being pulled up. Yeah. Then when you get to this point where you're kind of like, I've lost the weight, I feel like I'm motivated, I exercise, I do everything right, what else can I do? And it sounds like you're close to, okay. Yeah. So now we pull out that next set of artillery. It's the bring the gun to the gunfight instead of the gun to the knife fight methodology.
Yeah.
So now we start building you back up. So filling in, because I'm sure you probably have some loose skin and maybe have those areas that need a little bit of muscle
Just
attention.
Tighten it up. Yeah.
Bigger shoulders, broader, broader, build the V taper, So that's where the
So I'm going to come to Miami so I can work out with you?
Sure. Hey, listen, anytime. Plus, again, with the peptide stuff, like that'll really help fill in some of that ability to kind of promote that muscle tissue that you have been able to get to, and pull off that fat that's been a lot more stubborn. So from here, we work back up. So full disclosure, everybody, he just signed up with us as a client. So we haven't been part of the journey to get him here, but we're going to be part of the journey to take him next tier. So
I'm excited.
So stay tuned on that.
Do you feel like testosterone's made you more conservative or made you toxic? Because a lot of people think obviously testosterone makes you a toxic male.
Toxic masculinity.
For sure, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm a toxic male.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Awesome.
I will say now, when men specifically ask me, like in my DMs, they'll be like, yo, bro, you look great. Like, how did you lose all the weight? Because they've been following me for a while. I was like, have you had your testosterone levels checked? Like, that's the first thing I go to. They're like, not diet. And I was like, bro, get your blood work done. Like, see where your test is at. I feel like it was such a game changer for me.
Well, I kind of always say like being like trying to do that is like being an IndyCar race with a flat tire with low testosterone. It's like get the testosterone fix. It starts this cascade of positive things. Whether you go to the gym, you see something actually happen. You eat better, you see something happen. So it kind of starts people to kind of cinch up and slowly make those changes to make big changes over time.
Well, think about this. I mean, how many men are out there who try to lose weight with their wives and they both go into the weight loss process together and the men lose weight super fast and the women have a really hard time. There's one major thing difference between men and women, which is hormone levels, which also supports muscle tissue. Muscle is like horsepower. The more horsepower we have, the more quickly we burn energy. So that muscle builds your muscle underneath that body fat. So when you drop calories, your body starts to fry through muscle quick. Then the negative to doing the GLP-1s for a lot of people is they starve too much and then they really lose muscle in addition. So the benefit of taking an anabolic or an androgenic hormone like testosterone is it promotes muscle, and then you're dieting, which promotes weight loss, but then the body can hold up the muscle and burn the fat. So you have this really great like profile of
a lot more aesthetic when you're done too.
Yeah, of an aesthetic outcome and a sustainable outcome. Because the problem is a lot of people lose weight and gain it all right back. So back to the conservative questions I got because your expertise. What do you think is a kind of thing that you're waiting for? Like are you waiting for the who killed JFK? Or are you waiting for the Epstein list, Diddy party? What's the?
So look, I know that they're all pedos. We've known that for a long time. I feel like. So yeah, the list would be great. What's gonna happen? It's like, is something gonna happen? Otherwise, I don't fucking care. I care, but like it's like if they're not gonna be prosecuted and things are not gonna happen, then why are you telling me this? It's just another
UFOs.
Yeah,
it's more UFOs.
Just
John F. Kennedy being shot. We already know that they did that.
I feel like everyone is just sort of at the point.
Yeah, what I'm excited to know about is, and I'm not suicidal, so I want to know how the Clintons are involved in everything.
Yeah,
like that's like my thing. Like I want to know.
He said it, guys.
I didn't say it.
I want to know.
Clinton, you do a great job.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's Bill. I think it's Hillary. I think she's a fucking monster. So I want to see again.
Well, our channel just got canceled.
Never been suicidal ever. So I'm interested to see that and all of our politicians uncover. Like it's so, like every day I'm like, who else, right?
It's
and then I'm seeing that melts down. Like
the USAID.
The USAID stuff is
amazing.
wild. I don't know if you listened to the breakdown on Mike Benn's episode. I think it was. Dude, it's like every conspiracy theory that you think. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, this is true, this is true. And it's to the point where you're just like, okay, at some point, is this like the finale in the TV show? Like I said, like if we're in a simulation, whoever's writing this script, like
we are in a simulation, but that's another show. I honestly think that that's why they don't like Donald Trump is because I think out the gate, he was like, I'm going to expose all of you.
Because what does he have to lose? What does he have to lose at this point? That's the thing. He doesn't want to get reelected. Obviously, he can't. Well, maybe he can, depending on this new law that maybe. But by the time he's there, he's 82 or whatever. Like, let's be honest. I don't think
one
he's
of his sons or JD Vance or
JD. And
I love JD.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, out of every love him or hate him, man, he gets shit done.
Oh, it's wild.
Shit done,
it's
and
like warp speed.
He's like where the last president was on vacation.
Where's this guy find the
90% of the time, dude? This guy grinds harder than all of us.
Where's he find the energy, bro? He's at the Super Bowl. He's at NASCAR. He's like
so he takes the weekends to go and do those things.
And then he golfs. And then,
no, the guy's nonstop.
Yeah, I gotta take a nap every day.
He must have the best math possible.
Well, it's the Florida nap, right? We take a nap between
I'll tell you, that's the thing I respect most about him. Is just that guy is nonstop, and it's like. He doesn't have to do what he does.
During the election process, and he was doing his Trump rallies. I mean, I was just amazed at what this guy was.
He hit 4 cities today or 4 states.
We do speaking engagements for like an hour. It is even this
mentally
this is draining. This is exhausting. Being in front of cameras, having to speak, and for him to be on like that.
And then people.
He's also been doing it for decades. I think he's a very trained muscle.
And they're hanging on to every word for just one time from the fuck up. Just.
But he had that 4 years in between, and people think that he was just not the president for 4 years. That's another show.
Wait, are you, are you
probably come
wait,
out a few
wait,
times.
Wait, wait, Are you a QAnon? Are you a QAnon?
I'm not actually. I'm not. There's some stuff where I'm like, but like some stuff is crazy. But no, that 4 years, he was already talking to these people. He's already making deals with these people.
Right.
You mean to tell me in a day, all of the biggest tech guys decided that they were all going to go to the inauguration? No.
Yeah.
He was already talking to them for like.
Yeah.
He's been working on
Yeah.
this, and that's what I respect in him so much. And look, I was going to Mar-a-Lago. I've seen Trump. Like I've seen him
Have you met
talk to people. I got to shake his hand, and he was this close.
Is he tall?
And very tall.
Yeah.
Well, I felt like, or maybe I just felt, I don't know. I can't even explain it.
Yes,
I
he's
think
tall. He's
I
like
think I blacked the fuck out, actually. I was
No,
like,
he's pretty tall.
I was just like,
No, it's always
stunned.
Baron.
Yeah.
Baron walks.
Barron's he's a beast. But yeah, I've met the Trumps before. And that's another thing that people need to understand is like, you went from a guy who was loved in Hollywood to now all of a sudden homophobic, racist, and all the other things when he wasn't,
That
when he was in
before.
Hollywood.
But those terms have been overused. I think they're being kind of fucked up now. Like if someone genuinely
watered
is,
down. Nobody
if someone
cares
genuinely
about it.
is homophobic now, I think when someone's called that, people go like, ugh. And
Yeah,
I think that's
I'm like,
the problem.
okay, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
It's-
but then when I went to all these different events and now I started to interact with these people, I myself, I was like, all right, let me pay attention. Let me ask questions. Because if they are, then that's fucked up. They're not. Like, if you ask anybody that works at Mar-a-Lago, they absolutely adore
Yeah.
the Trumps. They're like, oh, we wouldn't work anywhere else. And I'm like, okay, that's all I needed to know. You know, like,
Yeah, I
can't
mean, you
find
never really
somebody-
heard those stories about anybody on their side, right? You never heard people like, I absolutely like love the Biden family. Like that just
never.
like there was no Biden merch, and if there was, it was like
merch. Oh my God.
it was like paid for by them to
Yeah.
paid to like have you wear it. I mean, just like
Did you
what
see
president
that
has that
stand-up
level of
comedian?
merch?
I'm
Like I'm
sorry.
wearing a Trump watch. Like there's
Oh, I got Trump
shoes.
sneakers. Yeah.
And like and win or lose, I was rocking it. Like I didn't give a shit. It was just like. It's just a wild time to be alive.
face is
that
on
has
guns, man.
He has to be the most famous person in the world, right? Like,
Yeah.
you have to, we
Oh,
all
not
have
even
to agree to
close.
that.
Yeah.
Yes, and this time around they made him really cool.
Are you a Swift fan, Taylor Swift?
I am not. I never.
You're like the
been.
one gay guy
I
that
know
doesn't like Taylor Swift?
Swifties are going to come after me. They're
Because
another
Trump like
cult.
actually tweets, "I hate Taylor
I
Swift."
know. I love it. I love it. Well, this is a perfect example, and I'm going to write a book on the difference between straight relationships and gay relationships. But this is exactly why women ruin men, because look at the guy she's with. Dude turned into a complete puss.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
and
of
the
this
world
girl.
hated him. Was so happy they lost because of her association and
that's
his
all I was-
Pfizer bullshit.
Yeah.
And again, being political or not, like to change the NFL like that was just.
I know.
Yeah.
Wow, like there was a lot of people who really.
Well, the fact that 13-year-old girls now watch the NFL, I'm out. Thank you. Like it's
Yeah, they
not
really
a Taylor
brought
Swift concert.
they really brought the
to
wrong market
ruin
to
that
this
one.
sport.
And I have many NFL friends, like actual players that I'm friends with, and I bust their balls about it all the time. I'm like, oh, where did you play at? I was in a Taylor Swift concert. Or they're like, shut the fuck up. You don't even know anything about the NFL. I'm like, so what?
I mean, I bet on sports, and like when they're having like, how many times will Taylor Swift be shown on TV as one of the
oh my
bets?
God, that's one of the bets.
I'm like, this is getting out of
Please tell
control.
me you bet on
This
that.
is so gay.
No, I
You
would
probably
not
see
bet
it.
because I didn't want it to
Okay.
count and keep track of the Taylor Swift sightings during the Super Bowl. So,
That's gay, folks.
yeah, yeah, no shit.
No, but I've never been in. I honestly, like, ever since I'm not like a huge sports guy, anyways. But ever since the NFL did that whole kneeling business,
Yeah. I was toast.
I'm the type.
They
of,
really fixed racism, though. I mean, they were
Yeah.
the reasons why racism went away.
Oh,
right?
for sure. Because they
I mean, it's
put it in
end
the
racism on the
zones.
end zone. I was like, you know what?
Oh.
Fuck it, I'm done with being racist.
And I just said this today to somebody. I was like, these gay people, and they're like, we need to stop homophobia. If somebody is homophobic, they are forever going to be homophobic, and you're not helping them. If someone is truly a racist person, there is nothing in the world you're going to do to change that.
Right.
That is
Force feeding it down their
reality.
throat, you're going to reinforce their ability to say, fuck this movement.
100%.
Yeah, you can't
You
yell
want to
someone
make
into
DEI, and you want to take a guy who's racist and then force somebody to be the pilot of their flight, or
Puts gas
you know
on the
the
fire.
It does.
their doctor
Right.
when they didn't deserve it from a credential standpoint. And then when they do fuck up, they're like, aha, see, I told
Yeah.
you my racist beliefs were
If
true. Like, that is
anything,
crazy.
My method works better because I've met so many people in my life because I've been the same. Like, you could tell I flame out a little bit, you know what I mean? But, you know, whatever. But there's guys that are like, every time I have an interaction with guys who were homophobic, and I say were because they'll like hang out with me and they're like, dude, I didn't really like gay guys until I met you, and you're pretty fucking cool.
Can I have a
Like,
hug?
I'm trying to-
And then they ask you for a hug.
The whole
they
time.
were homophobic because of all those activists that are like, we're gonna end this. I'm like,
What's funny is like as a straight guy, like, and I'm not homophobic, obviously, is because I live in a city predominantly all gays, but
Yeah.
the homophobic men think that they're going to go into a place and all of a sudden every gay guy's going to hit on them. It's
Yeah.
like, bro, do you go into a straight bar and think every chick wants to fuck you? No,
No.
just same as every guy doesn't want to either.
yeah.
It doesn't
and then
work.
they get really bent out of shape. We're like, you're not even my type, and they're like, I'm not. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Wait a minute,
It's
you
the word. Yeah, that's why I love when you see some like beer guy from the middle of Ohio Valley, and they're like,
Why from
They're
Ohio?
gonna try and fuck me."
Why
You're
why
about to
Ohio?
get Vivek
Just
Ramaswamy
you
in Ohio.
probably might get fucked, but like, it's just funny. It's like, dude, no one wants to fuck you. Like, relax.
Yeah, chill out, man. You're not. Yeah, no, but it's true. Like and I say my method again is because it's just being a normal person. Just like we're hanging out. I do like to do guy stuff. Like I don't really like all the feminine shit that gay people do, and that's fine. They can do it, but I'm just not into like painting your nails and shit. Like I think it's weird, but it's fine. It's weird for you, but I don't do it. So yeah, if you're just a normal human being and you're hanging out with somebody, that method is better because people are like, they drop their guard a little bit. They're like, all right, dude's cool. Like, I'm cool with this. If I came in here fucking wearing a boa and I'm like, and I was fucking
I'd
dramatic.
still be into that.
Everyone's
Yeah.
like,
I was expecting
That sounds
this,
pretty fun, dude.
everybody be like, oh Lord, what the fuck we got going on tonight?
Like, man, where's his
the
makeup?
red, white, and blue tutu.
Yeah, that might actually be pretty
So how
cool.
does being like an outspoken conservative gay guy affect your dating pool? Or is that like a pretty small pool of guys to pick from, or that are?
Well, I've been in a relationship for 15 years.
Okay, so that's
So you can't date anyone then.
No, but I get hit on a lot. So it really, if I went back out
Ego
there, it
booster.
probably wouldn't. Sorry, Jimmy. It probably wouldn't affect.
I'm
it.
assuming your other is a conservative as well.
He is. Yeah, thank
That'd be
God, 'cause
fun
I
if,
would
if
not
you were
be
if
able
you were
to
the
do it.
liberal. That'd be
I
a
have
great
a
TV
friend
show.
that's like
know.
married, like he's hardcore conservative and he's married to like an extreme liberal, and they have a child. Kind of friend, sort of. I know them very well. I'm like, dude, there's just
they
no
fight
way.
a lot?
I would assume because
Yeah,
like
I can
it's hard enough. I've been married 22, 3 years, something like that. Shit, sorry, babe. Somewhere between those years. I couldn't imagine having opposite views. I've lost good friends signed off of social media. So I'm like, you want to shit on Trump? Out, like, how can you support these pedos? And I go in, you know? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, the most they go hard on like the most extreme version of what MAGA is. As I go on, to the left, just in banter of arguments.
Yeah.
Like, imagine having that conversation with my wife when we get into you fucking. It's like
There's no. I think we both.
There's
Him and
no
I
way.
woke up together. Like, it was. Again, we had realized that we'd always been pretty conservative, but there was a moment where we looked at each other and we're like, "Oh my God, we were fucking lied to." Like, the Democrats have been telling us that we needed to vote this certain way because they were going to, I guess, do something for us. And like,
Right.
nothing ever got.
I think a
done.
lot of people are promised,
Yeah.
or they think they're going to be promised something.
Charles Barkley spoke out about that.
Well, it's
too.
almost
He's just
like
I've been like the place I grew up with is still a shithole. It's still a ghetto, and I've voted Democrats for the last 2 decades. And Charles Barkley just was like, I'm done, dude.
It was almost like the Biden moment where he's like, you ain't black if you don't vote for me. They almost did the same thing to the gay population.
Yeah.
Like, you're not
They did.
gay if you don't vote for me.
Right. It's
And-
Do you
funny
feel like
'cause-
that pushed you away from them as well? Like that forcing, like, this is how you have to believe if you don't?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Because, well, they throw Kamala Harris with this fucking rainbow jacket on, and they throw her in a pride parade, and I guess everybody's supposed to be like, oh my God, she's supportive of the gays. Like, they do all of these little shows, and for me it's offensive and it's even offensive during the month of June when I see all of these logos switch to a pride flag. And I have a story because I used to work for a corporate company, but they change it, and I'm like, so you gay people are okay with this? I know we went back to the gay shit. You gay people are okay with this? So we only celebrate you the month of June, right? So the rest of the year, I want you to shut up,
Right.
Like, don't.
This
that's
is your
it.
moment.
This is your moment.
Yeah.
Time
Wave
to
your
shine.
flag.
I used to work for a cell phone company, and I worked for their corporate office. I worked in their corporate building, and it was super offensive to me because every time June came around, they would go up to every gay employer who they thought was a gay employee. They would ask them if they wanted to partake in their little gay
Whoa, that's a.
situation,
So
whatever it was. Like,
So they would skip over like.
yeah, they
Well,
wouldn't have asked.
Jeff seems kind of gay, but like, no, they would skip over him and just go straight. Oh, you
I
look
mean, let's
gay.
be honest. The only reason why I came to the podcast today was because of him. No,
Yeah, muscle, baby.
don't make me blush now. My skin is tan. No, honestly, they would skip over you guys. Like if you were openly like a straight man in the office, let's just say that, they would not go to you guys. They would go to me and be like, "Hey, did you want to participate in?"
I mean, I can understand that during
No.
like during Black History Month, you can like assume like, oh, he's not black, you can see it, but just
Yeah.
to assume someone's gay or not gay, that's a
Right? How do you know I'm still not kind of
Yeah.
into females? I mean, I'm just saying you have no idea what I do outside.
and the whole
That's
thing,
right.
which is totally in my mind, it's like opposite racism, it's like opposite inclusion, it's like opposite equality. Because why, for 1 month of the year, should you get special treatment to a point that makes me feel less equal to you?
Right.
Because why am I being selected to be like honored as if I'm like the strange special kid in the class that needs to be brought to the front of the bus? Like
LGBT
I'm not
makes it worse.
I'm not like candy, like I just like men. Like
The
why would
LGBT
you
could
think
be
that
summarized
you need
a
a
lot
special
easier.
sense of
Treatment.
to be patronized during that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're patronizing. Yeah.
Well, the LGBT could be summarized into just anyone but white straight.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's 2 letters, NS.
Yeah.
NWS, not white straight.
So I actually got one of my accounts
the
taken
whole
down. A few years ago, there was like a straight movement, like a straight pride movement, and there was like a whole logo. and
That's pretty
everything.
gay.
Well, somebody sent me this shirt, and it was like straight pride, like supporting straight people. And they flagged it. Any video you made, they would flag you and take it down because it was like a hate.
Because it was like
symbol.
wearing like a white pride. As
It was like a
opposed to
white supremacy. Yeah, they like labeled it under like white supremacy.
White Lives Matter. Kind of
So
shirt,
I
yeah.
like made videos like in solidarity with straight people, and I was like, I'm celebrating straight pride, and everyone's like, you homophobe, and I was like, okay, what the fuck are you talking about?
It just
It's so
shows
easy to trigger. It's
Yeah.
so easy.
Yeah, it's like when
It
they,
is fun.
right after the George Floyd thing, how like everybody was supposed to kneel down and apologize to black people.
Oh my God,
there were people like kissing their
Washing and
feet. I
kissing
was
their
like,
feet.
God, how
I would
embarrassing.
never do that.
Hey guys, so just quickly, we've noticed a lot of you commenting that you're not sure where you can go to get trusted and safe peptides, semaglutide, tirzepatide, testosterone replacement therapy, or testosterone boosting therapy. And we wanted to just mention that T Clinics USA is one of those places. Now, Alex and Jeff, who you see in this podcast frequently, they're probably in this podcast right now with me, they are from T Clinics USA. And as they've shown in episode after episode, details is what matters. So just because you may want something or think you need something, they are going to make sure that you are getting the thing that is right for the goal that you have. And what's better is they offer a 10% introduction discount to anyone who is listening to the ManLab. So that is you. So if you wanted to make use of that, get peptides or testosterone from a place that you can trust that have your goals in mind and want to show you the right way to get there, go to tclinicsusa.com, mention the ManLab for 10% off your first package, and you can even ask Alex or Jeff directly any questions you may or may not have, which is kind of cool. So just again, tclinicsusa.com. If you don't want to remember that, the link is in the description of wherever you are listening or watching this podcast. Mention the ManLab in the contact form and you will receive 10% off your first package. Now let's get back to the show.
I also never talk on any type of black political things because I'm not black. Like, as I don't want anybody to talk about gay things if you're like, don't be the activist if you don't know what the fuck you're activisting.
Right.
If you haven't lived that life.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, I never really talk. I did talk about the Floyd thing a little bit. I talk about BLM a little bit. I think they were a movement that was hijacked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fair to say.
Yeah.
I mean, they were hijacked. They made money off of them, and they left them high and dry.
My only thing that I ever said, I think out loud to people during that time was, why was, and I'm sure I'm gonna get slack for this one, but why was J6 looked at such a horrendous day?
I say that too.
when
Yeah.
we burned cities and we
I say the
tore
same
down
exact.
statues, and all because of an additional. Granted, it wasn't a political thing; it was a social movement, which was politicized.
It was pretty political.
But it was okay, and nobody looked
COVID
at that as the
disappeared for a
worst
week.
day. People were murdered.
Right.
People lost their livelihoods. Cities were closed, and that was okay. But
Yeah.
then, like,
It was peaceful.
and I was, and
It was
listen, I
peaceful.
was in. I went.
Oh, the peaceful
I went
protest.
to Washington during that time. I didn't go inside the Capitol.
He was outside the building.
I was way outside the building. But we went to the general part of the protest movement, whatever you want to consider January 6th to have been. It was peaceful. When it got not peaceful, we left and
Yeah.
said,
I know a lot
I'm
of
out."
people that did.
People thought that day they were marking as the darkest day in U.S.
Oh,
history.
my
I'm
God,
like,
the
do you not
dramatics.
remember 3 years ago
Yeah.
you guys let some of the best cities in our countries burn?
down.
Black-owned businesses were burnt to the
burned.
That was
ground.
the irony.
It was worse than the riots in L.A. after Rodney King. I mean, most of them were, at least at that
Well, I
time,
remember even from
collectively.
Australia, I said to my wife, I was like, and this is again,
They were doing this in Australia too.
They were doing again, same thing happened worldwide. It wasn't the rioting and the looting that happened in America, but there all of a sudden, again, everywhere. It happened in Europe, it happened in London.
But why? What skin did they
It
have?
was just
in the-
everyone
in the-
likes to be like, we're
People were just pissed off.
Dude,
Like, fucking-
I 100% agree. It was just like all of a sudden, so all these groups that were lockdown.
Well,
it-
George
it
Soros
dis-
funded them all.
It disappeared as well, and then all of a sudden, Australians hijacked it, and it's about our Indigenous people. And it's just like, can we have
Oh,
one
Christ.
original
Here
thought
we
for
go.
a second?
Get rid of the Redskins. That'll solve it.
Exactly.
But it was just like this thing where I remember saying to Stace, I'm like, when I saw all the videos of the looting and everything, I'm like, this isn't about equality anymore.
No.
You know, like it started as something that's good, and then it's funny because like then they would rebrand it like, well, it was mostly peaceful. I was like, I ain't seeing the mostly
Listen, they
part.
were pissed off that Kyle Rittenhouse protected himself in a riot situation, and the guy that he shot was white, and they
Yeah.
were calling him a white supremacist.
I think they had like history of
He
pedophilia
didn't even
too.
shoot a black guy. Do you know that? And
Yeah.
the guy was a pedo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those three
So-
white
He was
Oh.
defending himself because
Honestly,
I mean, I was like, you know, I'm still
But that's not how
Hot-
history
hot
will
take.
write that.
Hot
That's,
take,
that's not
but
how the
that's-
history books in the indoctrinated colleges will remember that.
Hot
right?
take though, Kyle Rittenhouse was probably the most pro BLM out of all of them. He killed the most white guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just saying. Just saying. Kyle
call
Rittenhouse,
Kyle right now if you like.
he is the most pro BLM out of everyone.
he would like that.
Anyways, on that
So,
note.
so now that you're doing this is your full-time gig?
It is. Yeah. So I didn't think that it would ever be that, but yeah, it's
Gotta be loving it. It's gotta be so much fun.
it's great. Well, we're reshaping the entertainment business, or the entertainment industry and the businesses. So all the pro-American business, building that parallel economy, is what I've been really focusing on in the last few years. So teaming up with people that are pro-America, on top of going and being that pro-American activist, getting all of the information out that the media is not getting out, doing a lot of stuff with the trafficking awareness stuff, human and child trafficking. It's a huge thing.
Yeah, I mean, you have a sense of responsibility, right? You have this loud voice. You have a lot of
Yeah.
people follow you. I'm sure you feel it's responsibility not just to make fun of the left, but also to
It's
bring
fun.
some sense of value to your community. If you can bring attention
Yeah.
to some of these horrific things that are happening in the world, there's definitely some honor in that.
Yeah, and I do it in my way.
So how did you, like, for those of us who are trying to make it in the social media world, like, what's your world of advice to build your platform and to kind of get attention, just to be wild, to post a lot of times?
No, you
what is
have
the
to
formula?
be genuine. You have to be genuinely yourself. So once I started to go to events and people started to like come up to me, and then they met me in person, because I've met a lot of people that I looked up to, and then I met them in person. I was so disappointed, and I was like, oh my
Yeah.
yeah.
what
Care
a
to name
dick,
names?
No, I can't.
Yeah,
say
blacklist.
Here we go.
No, I won't. But yeah, I was telling you guys, this is me. Like it's the same person. You have to make sure that you are, at least trying to engage yourself with people that are following you, so that they know that you sincerely want them to enjoy your platform. And then the rest is kind of history. If you're genuine and you keep doing that, and you're, I'm part of Patriot Gear. That's one of the lines that I have. Ian Went is an amazing small business that created a line that is literally called Patriot Gear, where anybody can be a patriot. It's not a Republican thing. It ends up being
It's weird about that, right? You had a red, white, and blue flag. All of a sudden, you were a Trump supporting conservative. No, I'm just an American.
I somehow supported Hitler in my mind.
Yeah. Oh, I have hats. My
I'm a
hats
Nazi
are
now.
it just says Patriot on it, and I had a woman come up to me in the airport calling me all kinds of names.
You're a racist. Like,
yeah.
what?
Yeah.
The loving group, baby.
But yeah, so we did a meet and greet when we were in Arizona at AmFest, America Fest, for Turning Point. And he came up to me and he was like, I have a lot of influencers that I've seen do meet and greets. He's like, you ask everybody their name and you're like hugging them.
You're enjoying
and
the
getting
moment.
down on your knee and like talking to kids. And I'm like, yeah, because this is fun. Like I get to finally meet the people that are commenting all the time. And some people might be annoyed. And I'm just like, fuck yeah, this is great. You boosted my, the reason I'm here is because of you.
Hate me or love me, but don't be indifferent.
Do you gotta be careful, like in your mind, sometimes you ever post something and wonder, like maybe I should pull that one back? Or are you just at that point where you don't give a shit
he's
anymore?
like, yep, all
Like
the
maybe
time.
I don't know if you drink or not, but like,
I try not to post if I drink. Yeah. I'm an old fashioned.
wake up the next morning, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. No, I don't do that. I
Retract.
stay away from social media when I'm drinking. What I will say is this. I'm at a point right now where there's a lot of stand-up comedians that would like me to dabble in stand-up. And I have a very dark sense of humor where things that might make people
Perfect.
really offended do not offend me at all. And so I'm trying to train my followers that I'm probably going to say some shit that you are going to think is offensive because they're not used to that coming out of me. But it is. So I've been utilizing X for a lot lot of stuff.
Just as a different platform to
Because
give your dark side.
Damn,
That's your
they're
dark
like,
MAGA.
It's my dark MAGA. Yeah, for sure, my dark MAGA. Because I'm like, damn, dude, you're savage. Because I'm like, hey, queers. I call up the queer community. I'm like, hey, queers. And I don't do that in my videos because I know that I have some 15-year-old and 16-year-old followers because they've been to events and they're like,
Or maybe
"You
they're
help
like
me
you. They're a gay guy
understand."
who's they're a gay young teenager who's
Yeah,
into
and
being
I don't want
conservative.
to swear too much, but my content is swearing. Like I use profanity, sorry. But what 14-year-old doesn't know the word fuck?
No, man.
Well, it's how you do it, right? It's
Yeah.
it's the temperature and I think the way you use these vulgarities. Like you can make them raunchy, or you can say it in a spirit.
so raunchy.
We have this.
How do you
I have this
swear raunchy
British.
like
I have this
fuck?
British client that curses and it just sounds so elegant and flows and funny. Just the way he says, "Oh, the fucking this," and it's just like.
Sounds
but then if I
proper.
say it, it's like, man. This guy's sounding like a fucking truck driver. It's like
Truckers are my favorite followers. Those guys are funny.
yeah.
They are funny. I come from a generation. I was 80s born, 90s raised. So Eddie Murphy, Andrew Dice Clay, these are the people. They're raunchy motherfuckers.
Oh man, the best
Like-
movies were when we were at that age when you could do shit back then that no way you could have
No,
now.
never.
Like you watch
Right.
Airplane.
Oh
like,
God,
some of these-
one of my favorites.
Airplane is the best.
Yeah, some of these
It's so good.
I mean, some of these movies that we used to watch growing up now would be canceled in a minute.
Yeah.
like you couldn't make White Chicks again. Like you just couldn't. There's no way.
I feel like
Such a great
that's
movie,
coming
but-
back though. I think it's definitely coming back.
It is.
It's just not coming back in cinema because cinema's dead.
Well, 'cause
But
Hollywood is
you look
just
at
broken.
YouTube and YouTube's fucking wild. Like
Yeah.
social media, I've seen 7 people die this week. Like, but I think it is coming back. But it is funny because I think we have this propensity to also glamorize when we were kids. Like, oh, we never did that. I watched the Vince McMahon documentary,
Yeah.
and I watched highlights of 2003 WWE, and I was like, Jesus Christ!
Oh,
that was on TV.
The shit
great.
that we,
I was like, what?
From HBO to, it was all, come on, we used to try to watch the late night shit in the blur,
Yeah.
in the TV. People don't remember that now. Now you can just look it up on your phone. It was a,
Not in
it was
Florida.
a-
They're,
saw a nipple.
not in
I saw a
Florida.
nipple.
They're
It's like
banning
this.
us.
If you found a VHS tape that said Debbie did Dallas and you just put it, you found it in your 16-year-old kid, you're like, oh shit, I just found a porno. Now you can't, now it's You can. There's like OnlyFans and like it's weird. It's a weird time
to be alive.
Can't talk about certain things now because I didn't
Everyone's
know the word
offended.
retard. I thought it just meant you're stupid, but now they've associated it
No,
to
that's coming back. Retard's
everybody
coming back,
who is
man.
I
not
thought
like
Trump signed a
mentally
thing
right.
that
I
says
didn't
you're allowed to
know
be-
that.
it's
I'm a
called
'90s
retard.
kid, so we
retarded's
and we
coming
call
back.
people gay all the
Yeah.
time. Like you're being gay, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't say that.
Yeah.
Really?
I think you can
crap,
now.
I'm
I
in
think you're allowed
trouble.
to
Oh
now.
yeah, you're allowed to be queer.
As of
Yeah.
the past month, we're allowed to again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought
Thank God.
retard and gay's coming back though.
Is it?
It's
It's making a comeback.
Maybe I'm bringing
Should
it
make
back.
a t-shirt.
Make a t-shirt.
Yeah,
I'm a
I
gay
was
retard.
just on a stand-up comedians podcast, and we were talking about hookers and all kinds of stuff. And I love it because that's what we all want to talk about. Like,
Yeah.
you know, when Donald Trump says he want to grab a girl by her
Pussy.
yeah,
We can say it.
grab a girl by her pussy, yeah, and all these women were like, like clutching their pearls. I'm like, I'm friends with you females. Y'all talk about dick so much.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, they're worse.
stop with
Yeah.
the offended
Yeah.
shit.
Women are
And if
way
a billionaire
more vulgar.
grabbed it, you
Let's be honest,
9
babe.
out of 10,
You're,
maybe. I'd probably say yes.
You're probably, unfortunately, one of the ones nobody wants to grab it. If you're
Yeah,
a bitch about it.
I wouldn't mind. I mean, hey, whatever.
if a billionaire grabbed
When
my
in
dick,
Rome,
I'd be
you know
like,
what I mean?
But it definitely
old-fashioned.
It definitely feels like it's coming back. Like I feel
Yeah.
like cancel culture's being canceled. No one cares anymore.
You just
It
suck it
seems
up.
like because I think did you notice an uptick with your social media
Big time.
after Zuckerberg came out saying like, "Hey, look, fuck
gonna
it,
censor all this."
we're not censoring anymore." Did you notice a
time.
huge uptick?
Yeah, it's funny you said that. Yeah, huge. Yeah, big time. Meta. So Instagram and Facebook. I post on all of them. But Instagram, I noticed an uptick, and so they've been putting conservative reels back into the algorithm. I think.
You know what's weird about it, Meta? You know, I did have you ever looked at the little stickers that they give for like Trump and they still put all that loser, like obnoxious little like like characters? I figured that would have been removed. Like go on your Instagram right now, search like the little like whatever the fucking thing on the top when you make a post and type in Trump and it's all this like negative
stuff?
association stuff. And then you put like Kamala in there. It's all like Kamala winning and like her and Joe like celebrating and still
Takes time to update.
none
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
shit that's like negative is associated, but with Trump, it's like the fat one. It has like the word loser. The word loser is associated with the word Trump. It's,
You, like,
it's
had to check
terrible.
this out.
I thought that would have been removed as soon as Zuck decided to try to become cool again.
If you post a story, you said.
Yeah, when you go to post a story, the top, like where you can put the little photos
stickers?
and the stickers, on top of it.
Yeah.
Type in Trump and look at what pops up there as the images. It's still pretty like a rough.
Oh well, no, not Oh, there's a drag queen one.
The one
Not as. Yeah. No. You're right.
they're not like a positive.
Oh, impeach Trump.
yeah, like shit. Now do the same with Kamala or Biden.
Yeah, we're gonna test this out right now. Live.
You're not gonna say like Biden
Pull it up,
falling over or like down looking like a fucking robot.
Oh yeah, optimism. Oh, vote Harris.
Yeah, like-
She led with joy.
We're
Who leads
joy
with
or what is
joy?
bullshit.
Waltz it out. That is the gayest shit I've ever heard in
That's
my
what I'm
life.
saying, like-
You guys are losers.
So fucking. I mean, I think Zuck needs to fix this.
Can anybody explain to me? Now, I just want to say something. And if I get canceled, I get canceled. Was it all the people that got made fun of in high school that voted for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz? Because it seems like it's a lot of fucking nerds that are like, I
Yes.
don't know, like they played
Yes,
like World
and the answer
of
is yes.
Warcraft or something. Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure because
Yeah, no, the answer is yes.
it was like the table that I didn't sit at, so I don't know where
Definitely
all
wasn't the
these-
cool kids table. It was like the drama kids that weren't cool enough to actually become something. They all decided to go that route, and then it was like the ones that were already pedophiles and have like a Diddy tape that needed to vote for her.
Yeah. It was like
and,
the hall
and then it was
monitor
all the
kids.
dead people that somehow voted for her. The
Right,
ones were paid.
right. It was like all the kids that were like they're the hall monitor kids.
Well, yeah, they have
No,
no skills.
I don't know. I don't really know many
I
people
don't know
that voted
because
for
then
her.
we gave
so-
them the power to. And if you were a nerd, that's fine. Like I was friends with nerds too, but like
Nerds
it was
are
like
cool.
the rejects.
Dorks are lame.
It was the rejects.
Nerds are cool. Dorks are lame. You know, like there's
Yes.
like nerds are
Did you
actually
say
have their
dorks.
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 Sorry, dorks.
When I say it, I sound like I'm from New York. Dorks.
Yeah.
How many people do you think you influenced to vote for Trump? Do you?
So when
I
Trump
mean,
won, I got tons of messages. I don't know, maybe in the
do you feel somewhat responsible?
I think
Or made more people, like, I guess I was going to ask you, like, being gay and a conservative, like, what misconceptions?
you swayed
or do
one vote, you feel like you're a winner,
do you
right?
feel
Like-
like
like-
there's a lot more conservatives that are gay that just, obviously, we don't hear about. The media shows
I
you
have messages.
Only,
You got people saying like,
you
because
only-
of you, I felt like I was
Because they're
comfortable
like,
enough.
thank
Because the
you so
media
much.
portrays it
That's
like,
awesome.
you know,
Not
all
even just
gay
so much
against
awesome in the sense that
Trump,
like you got somebody because look at like I remember growing up, the younger generation. I really didn't get into politics really until Trump got into office because
Yeah, same.
prior to Trump, I just didn't give a shit. I was at an age where I didn't really want to care. But I've been a Trump fan prior to 2016. I remember going. I was like, this dude's fucking awesome. Like I remember watching like the Shane Gillis skits where you would watch the
You're gay.
yeah, I was like, this dude is out of control. I would watch, those debates and just be like, this dude's sincere. And I want to see someone who's not your typical white hair, George Bush, just, politician.
I would have never voted for the old Republican.
But now like my, niece and nephew, these kids that are like 10, 12 years old, they're into politics, because it's like the coolest thing to be part of. And I know it's because their parents are so hardcore about it.
UFC is also tapped
UFC,
into
like
the
that's a
chunk.
big thing. Like I'm a big UFC guy, and to see Trump show up, I was actually at the New York one when he rolled out right after they won the Jim
great.
Jones fight.
Yeah.
Or Jones fight.
Jones,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was crazy. I mean, we were like right there, and Tulsi Gabbard and Elon Musk, and he rolls out, and RFK was there.
Quite the
What a
entourage.
lineup.
It is quite
But
the
it was
entourage.
just like the more people cared about him being there than the fight itself. It was just like an uproar. But what I was getting at is, I wonder, people like yourself who kind of tap into that culture. If I was a teenage young gay guy, kind of wondering, am I into politics, and started watching you, or female, or whoever the fuck, like if you were a part of
they?
making people care about politics because the way that you went about it in a more fun spirit, as opposed to watching the news and hearing the traditional political viewpoints. Like how many more?
lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I mean, and I still to this day get messages saying that.
Like, thank you for bringing this
much
into
for-
my
yep,
life.
Thank you so much for your content. Or, I mean, I remember there was drag queens that were reaching out to me when I was talking out about the drag story hour and the kids drag stuff from like Las Vegas. And they were like, thank you so much because we do not like this shit.
Right.
Like we're
I don't think most of them do.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Because they're entertainers. This is how they're making money. And I think a majority, everybody loves a fucking drag show. Are you kidding me? It's hilarious.
It's funny. My wife used to
Kids
love going to
shouldn't go
them, but then
there.
now she's concerned. She's like, I don't want to go to these things anymore because it's
know.
all these weird patterns. It's like you got lumped into the
Hijacked,
same thing
yeah.
I was saying about Eminem. Like you can't
Hijacked.
support half these Hollywood people. You don't want to like Taylor Swift anymore. You don't want to support, these.
Oh, and
these-
Robert De Niro, what a loser.
Oh, fuck that guy. I want to watch a movie or
The
Kevin
guy
Spacey
with his
or
boots or
Oh,
whatever those little Frankenstein shoes
the
are.
worst. But
Oh my God.
But once these politicians, or not politicians, once these celebrities got on board, you just instantly created
never
this
looked at his
division, right? And
You've never looked at his shoes? He's got little Frankenstein boots
I'm
on.
straight, bro.
Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro?
Yeah, but I'm not looking at his shoes. I mean, I looked at your Vuittons for the
there's
first time. And I
memes
was like,
on it. The
damn.
guy looks like little Timmy. Okay, he's got check out his
Right,
shoes.
I'm looking it up right
I
now.
gotta see this now.
Pull it up on your phone.
Pull it up.
The only thing I like about him
I
is
thought he was supposed to move out of the country, man. Like, what happened? to
They
all
always
this
were
stuff?
supposed
They always
Ellen
say
didn't
that
move.
shit.
He didn't move.
Rosie O'Donnell was
Yeah.
supposed to move. She never did. That
Speaking
guy.
of, did you
Ashton
see
and-
the
Ashton
Roseanne
and
Barr
Miller did.
song? The Roseanne Barr rap song?
Oh yeah, with Tom McDonald. Yeah, it's great. She's also a savage. I love
She's
it.
out of control.
Yeah, but look. There's a lot of people that have been coming out as conservative now, more so than before.
Cute shoes.
Did you see them?
me
They're
see.
like
lifts?
platforms
The
or
lifts?
something. Yeah, it's a lift.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what it is.
definitely a
I mean,
lift.
hey, if you need a lift, you need a
I might
lift.
need
But
a
don't be a
lift.
retard while you got the lift.
that looks
You
like a
need
movie.
lift?
I'm going to defend him for a second. That looks like a movie set.
I like these though. I need these.
Yeah.
I have hundreds of these shoes. But a lot of comedians and there's some Hollywood coming out as
Yeah,
conservative.
I think that there's more acceptance of
I
it.
had to come out
I mean,
twice.
Mark Wahlberg. you got Mark Wahlberg. You got
They
Mel
conservative.
Gibson. I mean,
I'm oppressed.
Which was hard.
look at Mel Gibson. For years,
Actually-
everybody thought he was a cuckoo, right? Everybody thought this
Yeah.
guy's lost his
Yeah.
shit. He has no idea what's going on in Hollywood. There's some other people that we could bring up that would have a mixed view whether they've lost their shit or kind of.
Yeah.
New Viva Medical Weight Loss has helped over 50,000 men and women in Florida lose over 500,000 pounds in body fat. Now, there are wonder drugs out there like semaglutide and tirzepatide, but it's important that these tools are used properly and safely with the correct guidance, because that guidance is what will help you make sure that you're losing that unwanted body fat while keeping the lean muscle mass. Nuviva Medical Weight Loss has over 10 clinics statewide in Florida with expert coaches who are with you the entire way, helping you with any habit adjustment, large or small. The secret behind Nuviva's continual success with their clients is their in-office expert experience. You will speak directly with a support coach, and if you have any questions, you will get immediate answers. If you are struggling, you will get immediate adjustments or pivots that will keep you on track with your goals. And what's great is you can choose the route of your weight loss goals. So if you just want to take diet adjustments and some supplements, you can do it. However, if you want to go a little bit of a stronger, faster approach and use semaglutide or tirzepatide, the Nuviva expert coaches can also help you along the way with that as well. So if you have a lot of pounds to lose or even just a few pounds and you know that having some support with an expert coach will get you there faster, contact Nuviva at either nuvivaweightloss.com or send them a message on Instagram at Nuviva Weight Loss and mention the ManLab for a little perk. That is Nuviva, Nuviva weightloss.com or at Nuviva Weight Loss on Instagram. So hit up Nuviva, get an expert coach, get that support you want, and let's get you feeling amazing again and lighter again. Let's get back to the show.
I've got a question for you. What was more difficult, coming out as gay or conservative?
Conservative, 100%.
What made it harder?
Well, they have a whole fucking parade for you if you come out as gay.
You get a whole month.
I had to defend myself twice. It's just because of how politically driven we are right now, and they've literally made it so that if you're not gay, it's not cool.
Excellent, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's just
It does feel like
not
now you get
cool.
applause if you come out versus like, and I've heard a lot of the gay community talk about it where they're like, we went through the shit so that you didn't have to, but now it's gone too far where instead of it just being like, that's great, we accept you, it's, well, can you please come out so I can give you a ribbon? Like I've heard that's not the straight guy saying that.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah. And I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it feels like, I mean, kids will always do what's rewarded, you know, like, and it feels like right now, and it's pushing back, but the last couple of years has been this thing where they've pushed. And so kids get rewarded for being like, well, I'm this, and they don't fully understand it.
I mean, the statistics are staggering when you see how many kids that are in like a middle school age identify as LB, is that it? LB and G? Yeah. One of the three. Comparably to like when we were in high school. And granted, again, it wasn't near as acceptable, but I mean, there has to be something, not just in who does or doesn't come out, but something that's happening in the water, in the food source. I mean, something that's changing people's.
Did somebody say that they're changing the frogs to gay?
Oh yeah, that was like
Was it Asper?
that one actually.
Astrazine?
Yeah, it was something like he said it wrong. It was like classic Alex Jones. He said something wild. Like he's a funny dude.
Yeah.
But it was more that the frogs were turning, like they were losing testosterone. The taint was shrinking as a result of the water.
Astrazine. It says Astrazine.
Yeah, it's something to do with the taint. So it's like
taint was
they
shrinking.
weren't becoming gay. It was like they're coming kind
They're
of
hermaphrodites.
They were gender neutral.
Oh.
They were gender
They can
neutral.
switch their
God.
they can
They were ahead
switch
of their
their
time.
sex.
Yeah.
Oh
They
my
don't-
God, not the neutral.
Gender neutral
boring.
is definitely that group. It's like a group of people who
I think the
couldn't
best thing
figure out
that
how to
Trump
be
did was he
oppressed.
said you had to get rid of the pronouns. I mean, like that was just such a retarded time to be alive.
I don't even know what
like,
that means.
How do you call yourself they and them? Like
I don't know how many people.
Like you're
we're
one
talking about
fucking
here.
person.
What's a group of days?
Yeah.
What is a group of days?
It's got to be a lot of people.
it's like
I have no
it's like a
idea.
gaggle.
You have a
Gaggle?
mental health. Listen, let's just call it a spade a spade. You have a mental health disorder if you do not understand that you're calling yourself these things and expecting other people to jump on your bandwagon
That
does not
acknowledge
make
that you're
sense.
more than one person.
Correct. You have
Some people in
where's the
America
camera
are
at?
more than one person.
You have a mental health. It's fine. You can have a mental health disorder. You need to be put on meds, but you have a mental health disorder. Handle it. Handle it.
And then we put and then we put them in the military and we expect them to run the most powerful
Oh
military. in the world.
yeah.
And that
Then
should
they
be
would
okay.
just want to give them guns in the military.
let's
Yeah.
give them a
And protect us while they're doing drag shows.
Right.
You know.
That would be pretty terrifying to the Taliban.
You know what I was
Bunch
wondering?
of drags running
And
over the
this is
mountain.
kind of
Where's
on
from
the
Palestine?
Have you seen like now that they're taking these people that are halfway through their transition, who they're like a man who went to a female prison, started the transition.
And then
Now
they
they're
wanna-
pulling them back
yeah.
out and putting them back into the men's prison. Whoa, they're going to be fucking passed around. I mean,
Passed around.
they were a male who thought they beat the system. They're like, well, if I'm going to be in prison, I'm going to say I'm a chick. I'm going to go in there and be with a bunch
Eat
of women.
box, right.
Yeah.
But how
and
good
now
would that
they
have been,
force
though?
them, and then they're going to throw them back into the.
But just think from that guy's point of view. That would have been so
good.
great.
Yeah, that's good.
That would have been
Shit, I
so
think
great
if I
to
had
game
what
that
most
system.
people think.
Yeah.
I mean, what a way to just fool the system.
Yeah.
Like what a hack.
Well, that-
like, all right, I'm
that'd
gonna
be
get arrested
nice.
and thrown in a room with like
Well,
thousands of
there's
other
guys
people.
that transitioned and like they're like in a beard and a dress and shit, and then they're like, "But I'm a lesbian," and I'm like, "I don't think you understand how this works." So you're a
like a
straight
really
guy
ugly
wearing
dude.
a dress,
Right.
Yeah. So you're a straight guy wearing a dress,
Yeah.
and but you're trans. Just say that.
what's
Just
that-
say that you like to dress up in women's clothes, but just keep that
Yeah,
shit
because that's
at
what
home.
that's
You know what
there's
I
always
mean?
been a term for
You're-
that. It's transvestite, isn't it?
Well, I guess
Isn't
you're
that
not
what it
allowed to
is?
say that anymore. They're cross dressers. I mean, they're
Yeah.
cross dressers. They used to wear, they like their girlfriend to peg them while they're wearing whatever, and then now they're trans. You know what I'm saying?
But they
'Cause I
still
always
have a
thought it was
beard and they still look like
transsexual
dudes, which
and
is crazy. Like
transvestite.
they don't even want to shave and like do the feminine,
Yeah, at least
like shave
try.
your legs and do the
there's
things that are
queer
like.
eye for the straight guy with the long hair, and he's like, and he uses his hands a lot, and you know, the trans gay guys that like to make everybody know that they have press-ons, they talk like this a lot so that you can see the nails. They're like,
Hey, I've
it's
got,
like, look, we got to do. You got your nails done.
Yeah. Yeah. They look
Nobody
good.
cares.
and I've got a theory, and I want you to confirm this on this. I feel like the more attractive a trans becomes, the more conservative they become, because everyone has. Hear me out on this theory.
I'm trying to understand.
Hear me out on
this.
this
Trying to
theory.
follow this one.
The more attractive of a trans you are, the more conservative you become. And my theory is this: if you're a dude with a beard saying I'm a woman, everyone's just like, fuck you, no you're not, dude. But someone like
Blair White.
I don't look at her and go like,
I call her
like
her.
yeah, exactly. And every single attractive trans woman.
Are you saying
and
you're attracted to Blair White right now?
No, I'm saying I don't have to guess if she's a man or a woman. I don't have to go.
I
like-
don't even know who the hell.
Yeah, I was like,
Well,
I'm
look
so
her
out
up.
of
Yeah, look her up.
So you're saying
You-
the ones that are passing.
Yeah, because it's like they don't feel like I'm discriminated against because everyone goes, yeah, you're a
say Blair
chick.
White.
Like I don't have to think
I gotta see
her.
this, dude.
Yeah, you'll have, and Blair is a conservative trans,
Okay.
but she will literally call out the trans community. She's like,
She got banned
no,
off
like
that-
no
yeah.
doubt you have a mental health issue.
Yeah.
like she's like, I know I do. Like she'll call.
She's like, hey.
yeah.
Yeah, like you. But that's what I'm saying. Like the ones that haven't been discriminated against.
I mean, I'm
she-
sure
they're
that photo
trans.
is. Yeah, that's.
No, you can
more
go on
right.
her Instagram.
Yeah.
But see, I didn't have to think
She's
her.
hot. I
It
think
just
Blair's
her
hot.
comes.
Yeah.
To my mind.
I think she's fully. I think she's complete.
I've never checked.
I don't think there's a place you can. Have you met her?
Just zoom in on Instagram, pinch and squeeze, pinch and squeeze.
Oh my God, you guys are horrible. Yeah, I don't know. I would never be into a trans man because I kind of like real dick, so it wouldn't work for me. Like,
Wait,
and they call
trans
me
woman?
transphobic. So because I don't want to date a trans man, a woman who transitioned to a man.
That's got to be a real low percentage of like women that think they can turn
why
into a
are
man
they not
and
trying
like.
to get into sports and shit?
That's what I'm
like,
saying. Well,
why
'cause
are
they're
they
gonna
not
get the shit
complaining
kicked
about
out of
the
them.
bathroom?
They're gonna get the shit kicked out of them
Yeah.
in a man's sport.
Well,
right?
yeah, but-
Is it how much
Like, oh, I'm
fun
going to
if
be
you
a
own suck
woman and
dick?
transition to a male sport and try to
Yeah.
try to box.
I'm going to go
him.
to powerlifting.
Like yours is going to suck. I mean, those like.
But they're not banging down the bathroom trying to get into the locker rooms. And
No,
shit.
they want to sit
like.
on
Why
a-
is it?
They want to go into a nice,
that's-
clean female bathroom.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
don't want to go
right.
stand in a gross male bathroom.
with
piss on the
jock
floor.
straps.
Yeah,
all
you don't
over
want
the
to
place.
follow.
Guys are
You don't want
pissing
to
all
follow
over the
anyone else.
floor.
Right. They should be more concerned about the gay guys wanting to go in the locker room. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like if I was a chick transition, the last thing I'd want to do is go to a man's bathroom. Men's bathroom are gross.
They are. Actually, women are.
Actually, women are just as bad.
pigs. Yeah, women are pigs.
just as bad.
Yeah, they're terrible.
They like
Have you
flush
seen
their
the
pads down the toilet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
shit.
Their
They're
pants?
Pads.
Pads.
Oh, I think it's the pants. I'm like,
Yeah.
how do they do that? That's a
know.
big toilet.
I've heard.
At least we don't have to go into the stools half
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah,
So at least we got that.
because they like hover when they go to the bathroom. It's a mess.
They
Just all
hover.
over.
Like
Yeah,
they
they don't
float.
s-
Yeah, they don't sit
No,
on
they
the
don't
seat.
say. Come on, you guys know this.
Oh, They have a friend.
I don't know how it is in
They have a
Australia.
friend.
to hold.
I
That's
know
why they go in
everything
two.
goes the other
That's
way
why they
in
go in
Australia,
two. One has to hold the hands.
Yeah. I still do it in the men's bathroom. I don't know. It's weird.
All right, give me a shoulder.
My
to
bro
lean on.
just holds my hands.
Do you guys have stalls in Australia, or is it like individual rooms?
They have the holes in the ground. They hover over.
Yeah, we just shit behind a bush. We don't have
they're-
any
they're in
buildings
the
in
bush.
Australia.
No?
I grew up in
Okay.
a tent.
Oh, in a tent.
Yeah.
They're Aborigines, man. They
With shrimp on the barbie.
Call them prawns. Jesus, come on,
Prawns.
guys.
I don't know. It's an Outback commercial from the 90s.
Yeah, I know.
That's not a knife. That's the only thing we know.
Cranky.
Have you ever
That's
gone?
my worst Australian impression.
That was close.
I don't think he's going to Australia anymore. I think it's.
I do love my Aussies, though. I've been on some Australian podcasts before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like what?
Well, you've been on his.
There's a couple of right.
I like how this counts as an Aussie podcast.
Yeah, you're almost there. We have a lot of Aussie listeners.
Do we?
A lot,
We do.
yeah. It's
crazy
funny,
how
like,
many-
Oh,
we're
no
like
way.
almost 50-50.
Yeah.
No
His
shit.
accent, the algorithm
most of the
shoots
leads,
us.
yeah, most of the leads that come through, I'm like, people asking about
There's
peptides are like
I think her name
Aussies.
is Maria Z.
Maria's
Yeah, she's like a right wing. It's kind of like the right side broadcasting, I guess.
Oh, she's the rebel, huh?
Yeah, I was on her podcast during COVID.
What broadcast network do you listen to mostly nowadays?
So I love Real America's Voice.
Okay.
it was,
OAN? Are you on
OAN's a good one. Yep.
Matt Gaetz is on there now. So
Matt Gaetz is on there. Yep. I mean, Fox. There's just a couple of different hosts that I love to watch. Jesse Waters is awesome.
He's just funny.
Yeah, Jesse Waters. I mean, sometimes like when I watch The Five, he says some off the wall shit, and then they're like, "Dude, what?" So I love Jesse for that. Greg Gutfeld has zero fucks.
Yeah,
he has
he
no
doesn't give a
fucks
shit.
left. Yeah, he's the best. So yeah, I mean, I kind of spread it out a little bit.
what's your top pod? We'll wrap this up. But what are your top podcasts that you listen to for your?
Theo Vaughn is my absolute favorite human being on the face of the fucking planet.
I love Theo.
He can literally just say one word.
When he's
and
trying to
I start
explain
laughing.
to Trump about what it's like to do cocaine and you're like an owl on the porch,
If that's
me, it
not
was-
the most historic, and Trump's like, why would you do that?
he's like, you're fucking miserable. He's like,
Did he say he was like a lamp post? He's like,
Yeah.
sometimes you just feel like you're a lamp post, and it's just not a good situation.
was-
He's like, why would you want to feel that way? He's like, yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
sums it up pretty
Yeah,
good.
and Dan Bongino is another great podcast too. I think he's direct and he really wakes people up.
You a Candace fan?
I was. Here's my line with conservatives. The far Christian shit has to stop. Like it's too far. You're not gaining anybody's approval or you're not bringing anybody into our party when you're like way too much.
Putting a hard line in the sand.
They really are. Like they're
Well,
they're not separating the whole church and state thing where it's
Right.
like if you're not conservative, I love her points. I think she's absolutely
She's
stunning.
ruthless.
She's
Yeah. My wife
ruthless.
likes her.
She's smart. It's like a Ben Shapiro for me, which I know they're rivals now, but Ben Shapiro is too smart for me. Like it's almost too much where I'm like, you're good.
He always tries
but
to win, though.
like it's almost like cocky.
Yeah.
I love Charlie Kirk because he's factual.
I love watching
He lets
his-
people talk. He's like, hold on, let her say what she's got to say, and then he'll be like, no. And, like he just
Would you
goes
imagine
with-
getting an argument with Charlie Kirk, like just like dating?
I
him
would
or,
wanna
like,
get
just,
into an
just to
argument
have
with
to
him.
debate him. I'd be like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
Same as Candace. I'm like, I can't
Yeah, I
imagine being
wouldn't
married to
want
her.
Right.
Like I would
Same.
never win an argument.
So I respect
Just give up.
Candace Owens. Let me just say that for the record.
Don't come after him.
I respect her. I think she is a wonderful, beautiful wife and mother, and she's very articulate. She knows her stuff. But as somebody who has faith, too much and ostracizing people for not having as much faith as you is where you lose me.
Yeah.
So I think you should respect all people of
one of the
whatever
reasons
faith they
why I think you're a conservative, you got the opportunity to not embrace certain things, and that's your choice.
Right.
And that's one of the beautiful things about this country, the right that we have these choices to be able to pick that person and listen to that person, these freedom of speeches, and not be force-fed any one particular message and have to believe this person's
Right.
message. And if you don't think that's right for you, then it ain't right for you. That's
I
very
mean,
respectful.
it would if I didn't think that way, then it would be like I would be a hypocrite because it's like then you can't be a gay conservative, you can't be a black conservative, you can't be a Latino because like there's so many different. You
Well,
know
you
what
can't.
I'm saying?
It's like people too that are like, oh, if you're a Trump guy, you're part of his cult. Like you love every. I'm like, I don't love every single decision the man makes. I love a lot of them, but I can't sit here and say that any one human being is this person that is without fault. You know, every one of us has potentially a part of us that somebody else doesn't believe or doesn't like, or it says something or makes a decision, and we're not always going to be like devout 100%. This guy,
Right.
you know, doesn't ever come without, you know, fucking up. So, yeah, I think people have to be reasonable with who they say that they appreciate versus follow versus believe in, and you know, not to be everything he says. I'm going to follow what the.
I agree.
I mean, otherwise, like you're more of an extremist if you think QAnon or one of these deals, and that's a whole.
Oh God, I don't even want to go after those people because I've been part of. People have thought that I was like there was conspiracies about me. So like people were wild out there. All I gotta say is it's fun. I mean, there's some. Listen. I love a good conspiracy. I love it. But if it's like too far, it's
Almost all of them become true.
We'll talk about a couple
they
after
do.
because I found a couple of conspiracies where I'm like, oh, that's actually a readaptation of an actual Stephen King movie. I'll dive in because I went heavy in, but we don't. You know,
But no, I'm
disclose.
not against Q.
Later. Q. I have some questions for Q.
Like, no.
There was I forgot the podcast that it was right after.
Called
the X Report or
X
something,
Report.
X22 or
X22.
something like that. And this guy was just super like Q said that he made you believe that like everything that was happening
just
was
stopped
happening for a
listening to
reason.
it.
After a while, I'm like, it was like, oh, it's all part of the plan. And I got to
That's the
I'm
thing that
like,
I
I
hate.
can't do this
Yeah,
shit
yeah.
anymore. It's like
Yeah,
everything's
Trump
part of the
became
plan.
Jesus for
Everything's
like
part
a
of the
year.
plan.
Yeah, and he was still the president, which I'm like, that
He
he's
traveled in
fucking us
time.
for 4 years.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you know, trust the plan on this date at this time, and then the 7 lines up with this. And I'm like, okay, listen, I can't even fucking keep up with this. It's
Yeah.
too much. So
I can't even think of what I'm doing next month. This guy's planning out 6 years from now with like every
And
chess piece that's being moved.
They have it down. I mean, it's like the time.
It's like saying The Simpsons is predicting the future.
After,
right?
after though, like I feel
Exactly.
like 3 months after he lost the election in 2020, a lot of them were disgruntled because it was always like it's coming, and it never.
It's still not
came.
over.
They give you a
Yeah,
date.
it's going to be turning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all part of the
we're
plan.
gonna rescind and
Well,
retract.
yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
what led up to J6.
Yeah.
Was a lot of these people saying that was like the lead up, and you know Pence isn't going to sign it, and it's all going to come down to that very last moment. And it was like finally, dude, like, oh well, fuck,
Yeah.
time to go on the airplane and go home. Meanwhile, these guys are fucking kicking in the windows and stuff.
I did meet the shaman.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
The guy
I
with
did. So he actually recognized me at AmFest.
Okay.
I wanted to take a picture with him.
Was he
and
still dressed up?
He was half like
Well,
he
of
was
course
not
he
like
recognized
in
I think
full-
that's his persona.
So
now.
I was walking past. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta take a picture with dude, right? So I go up to him like, hey bro, real quick, and he's like, yeah. And then he looks, he's like, shut the fuck up, conservative ant. And I was like, hold on, you know who I am? He's like, yeah, dude. He's like, my girlfriend's gonna lose her mind. So then he like
awesome.
had his buddy hold his.
That was your
shit and took
celebrity
a
moment?
picture. One of them, yeah. It's always wild to me because people that I love, when I see them at events and like I want to take a picture with them, they're like, "Oh, shut the fuck up, dude! I know who you are."
So
like
you
Carrie
feel,
Lake
you
was
feel
one.
that like when you're at the airport walking through, like you can tell people are like, oh, that's like,
Yeah, they stop me. They
gotta
do.
be-
See, I would never recognize somebody. Like I've literally like I
and even if I do recognize somebody, half the time I just don't give a shit enough. Like,
Yeah.
But I think I was saying to you before, like we had never really met in person prior to this, but I had started watching your social. I'm like, I already know this guy before you walk in.
I know.
So when you introduce yourself, I'm like thinking in my mind, you don't think, like I know you. You know?
yeah.
But it's interesting how we have this persona, which is a love or hate relationship with social media people.
It is. It is.
It's just carrying a little bit of a weird responsibility.
Yeah.
But well, cool,
All right,
man.
cool.
We've taken up a lot of your time, and I appreciate
cool.
appreciate you
Thank you for
coming.
coming on.
Great meeting you.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for
Keep
doing.
your
Thanks for
thing,
doing what you
sure.
do.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right, guys, and quickly before we leave, remember T-Clinics, you get 10% off if you mention the ManLab. Go to tclinicsusa.com, mention the ManLab, 10% off whatever you get to the start of the package. And toodaloo. Subscribe as well.